Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? And welcome to episode 8 of Ham Radio Live. We got a special episode this time around because, man, do we have some hot news. I mean, we are catching a big rumor right as it's going live, which is about Halo Infinite. I'm trying to fight off a burp during this intro. Paul, I'm going to pass it to you real quick. How you doing, man?
I'm really peckish. I'm hungry right now. I was talking to you earlier about my situation. My sister was supposed to get me food today. She's running late, so I'm running on an empty stomach. Nothing but some water and some Chips Ahoy cookies. So it's going to be a great show.
Of course. You got me, who I literally just slugged down a ton of pasta right now. And that's why I was like, mid-intro, I'm like, the acid is coming up. I'm either going to belch mid-intro or I got to pass it. So that's all taken care of now. I hope you do get some food in you during this show, because certainly we have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot to talk to with the audience, because we have a lot of people in the call-in waiting room. So welcome one, welcome all to episode 8 of Ham Radio Live. If you're new here, just know that we do these episodes every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on youtube.com/MrMattyPlays. That's where we're live. Afterwards, if you missed this episode, you want to catch the rest, we're available on all podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Those links are in the description of this video, or you can just search Ham Radio Live, Mr. Matty Plays, whatever on the podcast app of your choice. You'll find us, and if you are there, consider giving us, just a little rating, a little 5-star rating while you're there. We'd very much appreciate that. Other than that, you want to join in on the conversation, you want to talk with us, you want to write in maybe, you don't want to talk to us, that's fine. I would understand that. You can join the Patreon as well. That'll be linked in the description down below. We do these call-ins via the Patreon Discord. And just one last thing before I'm done rambling here, and I can dish it to you, Paul, is I just want to thank everyone. We just had our most successful episode this past week. We eclipsed almost 15K listeners, combining our audio, our live platform, as well as the archive version. So thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for giving our show a shot. And we've seen the positive reception in these last number of weeks. So we just very much appreciate you.
Yeah, that was my favorite show, definitely. Last week, it was so fun. And at the end of it, I was kind of sad that the show was ending. But we have a super chat from Paco Luigi.
Look at that.
And he says, Pacho Man Randy Savage would like to challenge you two to 1v1 him, as Pacho Man Randy Savage is more than a match for both of you's trash cans. I think he's talking about Macho Man.
A threat. I'll have you know.
Wow.
I'm an owner of the Demon Soul soundtrack on vinyl now. Dude, this thing was, you sent this to me, right? This was Wario 64. And then he tweeted this out. It was only like
I'm always
$20.
sending Matt Wario links.
Yeah, you were last night too.
Yeah.
I'm hyped about that.
I got something today too. It's massive. It is the Bible of JRPGs. So cool.
Have you read some of it?
Yeah, I just read like the intro, and I skipped to like Persona and stuff. It's really cool.
What do they tell you about those books, or tell you about in that book?
Sort of. It's mainly about the game, so not as much history as I was expecting. But
okay,
I've only like 3 entries, so I'm sure there's way more. Like, I know Final Fantasy probably has like a shit ton of stuff on it.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a copy at some point in time. But that's all the housekeeping we got for the intro. Let's get into what we're playing, shall we? Because we got some exciting news to talk about this week. Would you like to kick things off?
Yeah, so nobody in the chat will care about this. I know, Matt, you don't care, but I've been grinding Animal Crossing. In fact, I played a lot.
The audience cares.
No.
I just don't.
It's just, I don't know. I see your audience is like a reflection of you, and I know you hate Animal Crossing.
They're free to think how they'd like.
This update has just changed. It's weird because they didn't change too much, but I think it's just breathed some life into the game. And I've been grinding, like I've been changing my whole island up all today. It reminds me of like Minecraft when you get like a nice city build going on. I've been playing Animal Crossing, Trails of Cold Steel. I'd say I'm about halfway through that game right now. I'm like chapter 3. I think you said that's like halfway.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying that. The story and the conflict just started picking up, so I'm finally kind of embracing what's going on. But everything before that, it's been world building. And it's weird because at first I was thinking like if there's a lot of world building, it would be slower. But I'm surprised that it isn't, and I'm enjoying it. Although I'm using turbo mode, which you didn't have.
I did not have
on
that.
the Vita.
Yeah,
and turbo mode it's insane. It's wild how just quick it is.
Yeah, it,
But
it,
it's
it is a
helpful.
huge difference maker because you were telling me you're like, I'm on chapter 3. I'm like, already? Because I remember for
Yeah.
me, that was like 50 hours into the game. I was on chapter 3, and I don't think you're anywhere near that hour count. And by the time I was done with the game, I was at 85. So the fact that you're probably there in like 20 something just shows how much of a difference maker turbo mode is.
It's insane, mainly in combat, because your animations are so long that in going into combat, coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But even some of the like the dungeons are really sort of sprawling, so
Yeah.
traversing across them to turbo mode just helps a lot. Especially the chapter 3, it's like this big open field. You get a horse, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just I can't imagine not having turbo mode.
Absolutely.
Um, and that's actually really all I've been playing this week, Animal Crossing and Trails. And I kind of like it. I'm keeping it confined, keeping it to a small selection, hopping between them. This morning at 6 a.m., I was going to do something, but I decided I shouldn't because I was going to be tired for the show. But I was going to play Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
I got a code for Elden Ring. And Matt, you slid it over from Bandai.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be playing at 10 p.m. tonight. You got to play it. I'm kind of sad because I wanted to play it so we could have like a more
Mm-hmm.
varied discussion on it, but I won't be able to say much about it because I haven't touched it yet.
Well, we'll talk
So
about it
I'm gonna
next
be,
week as well. That's
yeah,
no
yeah.
problem.
I'll be playing that tonight after the show. So we
Yeah.
gotta wrap it up.
Yeah. We'll rush. I don't blame you, though. It was at like 6 a.m., so fuck
I was
that.
so tired because I would like, yeah, no, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't blame you for that. So I'll talk a little bit about Elden Ring because I did play it and we had kind of like free reign. Right now there are timed sessions for those who are logging in to play Elden Ring, but for myself, some of the press and many other content creators, we were able to just sort of run hog wild for as much as we wanted throughout an entire weekend. And I put in probably close to 10 hours into Elden Ring without even realizing it. It was just really engrossing. For those who haven't seen the preview, though, it's live on the channel right now. But of course, you're here, you're listening to the show. I want to give you the more in-depth thoughts, which is that this was easily, out of everything I've previewed, the best experience I've really had. It was incredible how convincing this product was. And the reason it was because a lot of the danger that you experience in a Souls-like game is here in a refreshing way. And it's because of the open world. There's an evolution there that feels almost as if this is the magnum opus. Like this is the culmination of everything FromSoft has learned since, I'd say, probably Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and built up to this right here where they're making Elden Ring, which is this, at least on Series X, this technical beast. It's beautiful. It runs at 60 FPS. There were no hitches. There's a ton of bosses, a ton to explore, a ton to see. They add on stuff that I never expected. Like, for example, there was item crafting, the steed, the verticality. There's so much here that just was truly impressive. It really, really was. And I encourage the audience to sound off if they're here in chat or, of course, if they're going to put a comment on the video. Let us know your thoughts on Elden Ring because, I mean, we've seen some real serious praise from this, and I want to know if the audience replicates it because oftentimes there's that disconnect. Like the press is in their own world, the creators are in their own world, and then you've got the audience over there like going, this isn't as good as people are saying. But I think it legitimately will be a game that if that slice that we experienced, which, by the way, what I played is what everyone else is playing, if that slice we experienced is indicative of the full game, like we will 100% be talking about Elden Ring at the end of 2022 about whether or not it'll be in that Game of the Year contender. It is ridiculously impressive.
Yeah, I was talking to our mutual friend Never. We are kind of joking around because he had his house burned down a while ago. So we were we were saying that Elden Ring's gonna be so fire that his house is gonna burn down again. Yeah, but that's what I've been seeing a lot from people is that it's sort of like a culmination of everything they've done, but they just take the best from like Sekiro, like something as simple as jumping, but then you go like the Dark Souls dungeons, and it's just so it's interesting because my biggest worry with it was that I guess it's still a worry because we don't have the full game, but it's that is this going to take away from those like I'd argue like those well-crafted dungeon experiences that are really challenging because you're in an open world. But based on what I'm seeing, it doesn't because it has like the open world aspects with the, almost like in Skyrim when you like go into a dungeon and it would just expand.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see, how it plays out.
Yeah, It's a really good point that you make there, because it's one thing that I did knock the game for very lightly, by the way. I'm not going to act like I really went full critique on it, because it could just be representative of that region and it could expand over time. But From Software and their dungeons, and when I say dungeons, I'm talking about like optional explorable ones. I'm talking about the Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne. Not that great. And these catacombs that I was exploring in Elden Ring were not that impressive. What was cool is at the end there's a boss, but what about them that didn't impress me was the same enemies were in there for both of them, same exact enemy types, like no variety whatsoever. So it was more like you would walk in and there were these creatures, these stone-like creatures that would blend in with the walls. So there was a sense of danger there when you walked in. I'm checking every corner, and it's actually very easy to miss them. But once you find them, you wipe them out. They're pretty easy. And it's about finding a switch. You flip it. Now this door is unlocked. You can go take on the dungeon boss. The carrot at the end of the stick that makes them worthwhile are these Ashes of War, which are these new skill equipables you can have. So one of them is like a counterattack. Another is like a little healing ring that you can place down on the ground. And when you do so, like, again, mega heals, great for multiplayer probably if you're doing co-op in this game, which is segmented by regions. I had one where I had a wand and I like whipped up a ton of these magical daggers that floated around me, and then they shot, boom, like these like missiles, and it was sick. So there's a lot of variety in these skills, at least early on, where it made those dungeons rewarding to go through, which is all you can ask, because this optional content, not everyone's going to see. And I think of games like Skyrim, which had some of my favorite dungeons, and it was really about the reward at the end, but also the story that was told. Those two dungeons I explored did not have a story told. That was the one thing that I was a little lukewarm on.
Yeah, when I was watching the trailer, so many of the animations looked really sick. So when you were like describing the wand thing, I'm like really excited to go in and see like all the spells and stuff, because I know Blue Point did Demon Souls, but the spells in there look so sick, especially like with the new hardware, like the particle effects or whatever. It looked really cool. So I imagine Elden Ring is gonna have a lot of that pizzazz.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm going to be really curious to find out. I gave one of our mutual friends, Trex, a code, and he has Xbox One. I was playing it, and I was like, dude, I don't know how they're going to get this thing running. FromSoft does great games, but tech has never been really their strength, especially frame rate. It looks like they're squeezing a lot of power out of the Series X, and with the Xbox One running that game, I don't know, man. We'll see, but there's just a lot that happens in that world. You know, you're going to be on horseback. There's tons of enemies, tons of little surprise boss fights, particle effects. It's very, very open, almost a la Breath of the Wild, like very open, not about entering places like Skyrim, but there's so many secrets around every corner too. That the other thing that this game has the potential to do is, you know how we see with Breath of the Wild, how people are posting clips to this day going, here's how I did this thing. Here's how I discovered this thing. This game has that potential for sure. People can hold me to that. People can really hold me to that.
That's really cool.
I think it does. There's just a level of freedom there and a lot of secrets that are tucked around corners that I discovered. And I thought, you know what, this can turn out to be something really special. So I'm full blown excited for this one right now. We have a lot of super chats too, by the way, before I even talk about the other thing I'm playing. So shout out to those of you who are supporting this show here. We very much appreciate it. It kind of caught me off guard. I was like, when do I wrap up my thoughts? Because there's so many.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 4.
Yeah, we got 4. First one comes from Nobody. It says, Matty, would you play a Halo RPG? You know, I think I would. Of course I would. But I'm saying I think it would work.
You
really
would,
well.
definitely.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Do you think that would work though? Do you think that's an idea that would work? Like Halo Wars
what
works.
What kind of RPG are we talking about? Like turn-based? Are we like action RPG? It's interesting. I don't know. It depends on how they do it.
I'm gonna go with turn-based. What if it was turn-based? And do you think they would do that?
That'd be sick.
Like a Halo Tactics. That'd be sick.
Isn't that what Halo War? No, what is it? Halo Wars is more like
RTS,
like XCOM.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's more RTS. Like it's like, have you seen Age of Empires recently when that came out?
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
So it's more like that.
Yeah, more like base management, strategy, spawning units, that type of stuff.
Dude, imagine like a Divinity Halo.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like a squad of ODST soldiers.
Yeah.
Yo.
Oh man.
Dude, I'm telling you, they could do it. I'd be all about it. They'd have a big fan of me.
There's a lot of potential with Halo.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot there.
Absolutely. We've got Saboki with the super chat. Hey, Matty, missing you. Thank you. Elden Ring looks pretty dope. How open do you think this world will be? Like Skyrim or more like the Outer Worlds, where it seems more than it really is? Actually, I don't know if you saw my preview, but the direct comparable is 100% going to be Skyrim. It is Breath of the Wild or Skyrim. To me, it reminded me of Skyrim.
So good to hear.
But yeah, and when I say Skyrim, it reminded me of that in the way I loved exploring it. But I think in its openness, it is probably more, as I was saying earlier, Breath of the Wild. That's how I was looking at it. That's why I'm really keen to get your thoughts when you do get to play this, because I want to know if you do share those. So yeah, we'll be talking while you play.
If you're here,
yeah. I will be. Red Wolf super chat saying Halo Infinite's progression system is horrible. Thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. After playing Halo MCC, I don't know why they went and did challenges only, because Halo MCC like has this challenges level of progression where you get those points that you spend on the seasonal content that's always there, and then they've got your standard progression. I'm like, why did you get rid of one part of it? Especially when they
said they're adding it, right?
Yeah, it seems like they're going to.
It's
so
weird.
I don't get it. I don't know either.
It's a very weird decision.
Absolutely, and we'll be talking a ton of Halo Infinite very shortly.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. And then we got Steven Richard with another super chat. Finally here for a bit of the show live. Maddie and Kobe, keep doing you, and I'll enjoy this Sunday when I'm able to catch the whole show. Hey, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Really, all the support we've been getting has been really nice. And then of course we got Jacob as a new member who says, "Who's the goon on the right? Right? He's kind of sus."
That's my friend Jacob.
Yeah, I was gonna say, homies being homies. That's funny though. The money's going in my pocket.
Still waiting for that PayPal.
All right. Other game I was playing this week is Halo 5 Guardians. So I finished MCC this week. There was one remaining. And it was Halo 5 Guardians. I'm going to do a video for Master Chief Collection. I'm going to do a video on Halo 5 Guardians as well. We'll be talking about both these games on the channel within the next 2 months. The reason I wanted to talk about Halo 5 Guardians was because I thought it'd be really interesting, especially post Halo Infinite, if I did a video saying, hey, is this game as bad as we remember? And Halo games in their stories have a start, middle, finish. Halo 5 Guardians has a start and just a start, because it poses what I thought, like, after playing all the Halo games in sequence, has a lot of cool ideas. I love what they're doing with Cortana. I really do. But they don't take it anywhere. And now they've set it up where in Infinite, I'm like, okay, you guys got to really carry the torch here. Locke is really useless. He's just hunting down Chief. Too many revelations happen off screen where, Locke and Chief meet up. He's like, Cortana is dangerous, right? And Chief's like, I know. But the last mission you played as him, Chief was like chasing her down, like, no, you can't do this to me. No, like, I need you. So something happened off screen. And the game just relies a lot on the idea that you've read a ton of Halo books, which I have not. But that is my quick 2 cents on the campaign. A lot of good ideas. Excited for Halo Infinite, of course. But the multiplayer was a good time. That said, I don't know what the fuck 343 was thinking. Do you remember the requisition packs?
I didn't play Halo 5 multiplayer. I mean, I played it, but I didn't play it like a lot.
Okay.
Not enough to have like a substantial opinion on it.
Yeah.
I stopped playing Halo when 343 jumped in. We talked about this last night.
Yeah.
I'm good. Infinite looks promising, like really promising, but Halo 4 was not the play. Not a fan.
Yeah, Halo 5 multiplayer, like, what sucks is the requisition packs make the game fun and not fun. So you have this mode called Warzone. It's like 24 players. Oh, that sounds awesome. Let's go crazy. And as you kill, it's like PvPvE. And as you kill enemies on the map, you're going to get rec points that you can spend on your loadout. So you can get a power weapon, you can call in a ghost, but there are these cards that you get in loot boxes. And some of them are really fucking good too. Like, I used a legendary Wasp last night versus my normal Wasp, and I was destroying with the legendary Wasp. It wasn't even close. I was up there for like a good 5 minutes just tearing up the battlefield. Then they finally took me out. I was like, I'm going back in the old Wasp now. No, not as good. So there is like gameplay enhancements, and you could buy these packs with real money. I don't know what they were thinking, but that's the one reason why I held reservations with Halo Infinite multiplayer. I was like, this thing is so much fun. It feels so good to play. But after Halo 5's multiplayer monetization, which now I've been reminded of, I'm like, okay, really gotta pump the brakes for a sec here, and just might have to only wait a couple of days to find out. But I'm very confused why they took it in that direction. But anyway, those are the 2 games I've been playing this week. Anything else you want to talk about what you're playing, or should we move on?
No, I'm ready to talk about Halo. This is gonna get good.
Hello, everybody. Matty here from the editing room. I apologize for the intrusion. I know I normally never do this with an archived version of our show, but we typically have call-ins right before we get into the news. You'll notice in this episode there aren't any call-ins. The reason for that is because we had a lot of tech issues on this episode. Paul's mic was lagging a ton. Some of the call-ins were lagging, and when I downloaded them, they weren't coming through right. I thought overall it would just be very frustrating to listen to, but I wanted to apologize to some of the audience who did call in during this segment of the show and that we couldn't include them, but I just thought it was for the better quality of the show overall, as it could, I imagine, be a little frustrating to listen to when things were hiccuping constantly. The rest of the show is pretty much fine, but this segment in particular was really hampered, and it's probably because it was stressing the connection while we were streaming. So on with the show, just wanted to let everyone know, and now let's talk Halo. It's what everyone's here for. We've certainly seen the comments in the chat. People are dying for us to get to it, so let's do it. All right, Paul. So the rumor right now, we're going to bring it up here, Windows Central Gaming, is that Halo Infinite's multiplayer may launch on November 15th, the 20th anniversary for Xbox and Combat Evolved.
3 days.
Yeah.
3 days we'll be seeing Halo, supposedly.
Yeah.
That is an interesting rumor, and it's like a gamble for Microsoft. I'll let you read the article and stuff, but it's interesting.
It absolutely is. So the release date is still officially listed as December 8th, 2021. However, Nate the Hate tweets, "What better way to celebrate the anniversary of the Xbox than with a birthday surprise? I can independently confirm and share with you today that Halo Infinite multiplayer will be made available on Monday, November 15th. Suit up, Spartans." Since that has been posted, there's been a little bit of a drip feed of people going like, maybe. Now, before we get carried away here, I do just want to say that this has been for the last, I want to say about 3-4 weeks. This has been the word down the grapevine that Halo Infinite's multiplayer is coming out early. And we didn't know if it was a small package, if it was the full thing. And now what we're hearing is it is the full entire multiplayer suite releasing early, which would be really interesting because we've seen Joe Staten, Phil Spencer, everyone at Xbox double down on the idea we're releasing them together December 8th. They did it at E3. I want to talk about why this may be happening, but I just want to let people know separately, I can confirm I've heard similar things. That does not mean it's happening, but these sources that are saying it have been very accurate to me in the past. So, you know, of course, I just want to put that out there for knowledge's sake. But I think that it is one of those too good to be true things. And that's the idea. Where even insiders, like people who were talking, were going like, I don't know, man. Like, we have good track records, but this is crazy. So I want to dish it to you. How are you feeling about Halo Infinite multiplayer possibly dropping like right there, man, Monday? Like we could be playing on Monday.
It's a power move if they went up and did that, because people have been waiting for Halo for quite a while now. It's supposed to be a launch game. We had a juicy taste during not the beta. What was it called?
Flight test. The flight test.
Flight test. I always forget the name of that. I think I forgot last time.
The only place that calls it that, but go on.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I can see reasons why they could do it, and I could see reasons why they wouldn't. But Battlefield reviews, I think they came out today or sometime recent, and they're looking okay-ish, right? But I think Microsoft could really just steal the show here with Halo, just drop it. I do think shadow dropping the main component of your game that's launching is very, I don't know, it's very, like, it's a big gamble.
It is.
Because what are they expecting to get out of it? Like people buying the battle pass? If the story comes out next or in December, right? Are people going to be buying that as much because the multiplayer is coming out, or is it better to release them alongside because then people will buy it even if they're not going to play it? I imagine they're considering all these things, and I don't know. As a consumer, as someone who likes to dabble in the industry, it's a really crazy rumor, but I can see it happening. I can see it happening. You were telling me, I think on the show actually, that they don't really have anything planned for the day of the anniversary, right?
Yeah,
like
there was
it's oddly quiet.
Yeah, there was the celebration stream that they were planning, and then Aaron Greenberg comes out and says, "This is not a news beat. We're not doing any game reveals." obviously the between the lines thing there is, well, this is for a game that's already announced coming soon, and it would make sense given it's the anniversary that you have something to say about it. And this would be, I tracked it on Defining Duke when I looked at Tokyo Game Show, Gamescom, E3, and Game Awards. Aaron Greenberg has a habit of saying nothing's coming and then something comes. Like when he said dial expectations way down for the Game Awards 2020, they fucking revealed Perfect Dark from the Initiative. That's a huge deal. And he's like, dial it way down. Not much is happening. I'm like, what do you mean? Clearly something's happening. So this will be another little piece of that puzzle that I've been putting together of like, I don't believe him anymore when he says tone it down, because he's just toning people down for the sake of it. And I'm like, I don't know why you don't want people excited, but I digress. It's exciting.
It's a Monday too.
Yes.
It's a Monday that it'd be releasing on, which isn't really typical. And I don't know. I feel like a shadow drop, it only works in certain ways. They're releasing it at the beginning of the week when I guess the least amount of people would have time to play it, right? Like you'd think they would shadow drop it on a Friday or a weekend or something.
People have been using the Google countdown. Datalade pointed it out that if you look up Halo Infinite's countdown, it's changed. It says it's coming in like 2 days.
No way.
Yeah, and obviously it's Google, but like there's been API updates and stuff. Yeah, it's really, that's something people have been sending to me for about a past week now, saying like, yo, Matty, you see this? And I haven't said anything because, again, like I've been hearing for a while, like, okay, like it's coming.
Wait, they changed it a week ago?
A week ago, no, yeah, around a week or so ago, like that countdown just had completely altered to what would be the 15th, and I don't know, man. It's really suspicious to say the least.
But what is I guess because it's like, oh, happy birthday, Halo, here you go, right? I get it. It makes sense. It's not just like completely random and out of nowhere, but logistically, does it make sense? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not in.
Does it increase their
know.
business? Is the question.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I wish we had someone on who could like Jez or something who could really dive into that. I guess you might be able to, but I don't. That's if I'm Microsoft, that's what I'm looking at. Although we've already seen Call of Duty, we've already seen Battlefield, and I'd argue those are the biggest competitors for Halo. So maybe they're just ready to fuck it. Here's our game, right?
Yeah.
If it's done.
I was gonna say that from what I know about Xbox, their goal above all else is to build Game Pass. So this will be a Game Pass Ultimate thing, I would imagine. Like if this actually happens, I could almost guarantee it'll be a Game Pass Ultimate, or like you have to be a subscriber, or you can download it through Game Pass. I feel like it's going to be on that level because otherwise it's free to play. So like what is the incentive there? And again, here's the other reality. Microsoft's been getting kicked in the balls for a whole generation. They're finally battling back. They may just want to take a shit on Sony's chest here and Nintendo's chest and just say like, we're here and we're dropping our game right now. And that would be incredible. We've never seen anything like that in our time, at least that I can think of.
If they're looking to
a release date's just been moved like that.
If they're looking to shake things up, that's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think if this is something that's happening, do you think it's always been planned, or not always, but like throughout the year, like that's what the plan was?
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. Clearly, they've been monitoring Call of Duty because they wouldn't announce the release date until Call of Duty did, right? They wouldn't do it. And they kept holding that card close to their chest. So they're monitoring that game. We know that they're in bed a little bit with EA, but seeing those poor reviews for Battlefield for the most part are like that. It's not as good as what we thought
average.
It would be. Right. Yeah. It looked like it was going to be phenomenal, and it quickly dialed down from there.
This is like an opportunity.
Exactly. Like I think the opportunity presented itself, and they went, it's time. Like we need to do this now. I think they're being opportunistic. I don't know if there was a rhyme or reason or a plan. I think what happened more than anything is probably they looked at their what's it called? They looked at their release calendar and then the feedback from the flight tests, and the latter being very important. It's like, okay, Forza's thriving. We got tons of people coming into Game Pass. Let's drop the multiplayer early. We know people like it, and let's keep that steady stream of hype and ride it right into December.
So one thing though, if Forza's doing like insanely well, which is a topic we're going to talk about, but do you think like that's going to pull attention away from Forza? Like maybe maybe that's something they're overlooking, but if that's the plan, like I feel as if all the people playing Forza, not all of them, but a lot of them are gonna jump to Halo. I know I would. I love Forza, and it was a great game, but Halo,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Um.
weird because Forza just came out. You'd think they'd want to have time for that game to settle and then jump into
Sure.
Halo, but also it's weird because this is sort of a we're still getting Halo in December. People are still going to be playing the story in December, but that's
Yes.
the story. Like, this is assuming what we're talking about is what's happening.
Here's a thought. Black Friday. You think that
What
might like push some consoles? Like Halo's about, it's out now. You got Forza, it's out now. Push some consoles
I think
during like the time where most people are spending, maybe instead of December 8th.
now it's out now. I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
that.
Little Giancarlo Esposito. Now, get it today. Buy it today.
I don't know, because to me, like, Halo's coming out, what, 2 weeks after Black Friday, so I'd imagine, like, that's already. It's so weird. I don't know what to say about it. Like, it's kind of exciting. But it's like, what? I'd be like dumbfounded if it actually happened. I kind of wanted to. Like, I would love for this to just drop.
I think it's going
But
to. I think it's going to.
you think so?
Yeah, because
You-
like
yeah.
again, I'm not trying to act like Mr. Insider, but the people I have been hearing it from are ones I would very much trust. Is all I'll say. And if they don't do it, I'll be very confused how that many people got it wrong. But again, time will really
Unless-
tell on this very quickly.
Maybe I think we're sort of like on the right track that this is a spur of the moment type thing. So if it didn't end up happening, maybe they're like, maybe we're not going to do this. That's not a good idea. I do think it's like an opportunistic. This is a window. Battlefield just came out, mediocre reviews. Let's shut it down.
Yeah.
Let's dominate the first-person shooter scene for 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know.
It remains to be seen.
I think with Halo, if it's good, which it felt very good, so I imagine if it ends up being
gonna be
received
good.
well, right, and there's that hype
Yeah.
there, that they can ride it out for at least the rest of 2021. The only issue that kind of pops up there is you extend the window of when you get your first content drop, right? Like everyone's looking already to when's co-op, when's Forge, and we know co-op is season 2, and that's going to come with its own multiplayer suite of options, and that was
Right.
typically going to be, I think, February, March. But when you drop it a couple of weeks earlier, I'm just saying, I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but these live games, they last on the content they add.
They come and go.
Yeah, right. And even I think Halo, which is going to be very strong, don't get me wrong, but they have to consider that too. So I don't know if like you're just going to get the base multiplayer, you'll make progress, then season 1 unlocks on the 8th, where you can start getting the Reach armor sets that they've been talking about. Like
That's actually,
do you think they're going to do that maybe?
Yeah. I think if they release it on the 15th, there will definitely be something for multiplayer that comes out alongside the campaign. I can't imagine that they're just like, oh, okay, here's the campaign. Multiplayer's been out for 2 weeks. We're not going to touch it. We're going to leave it till February or March. I don't see that happening because, like you were saying, these live games, these games as a service titles, they just have to keep releasing content to stay active. If they don't, then they're going to fall behind compared to other games like Fortnite, Genshin Impact, blah blah blah. All these games, they need to just constantly be pumping content into their games. So,
Strangely enough, Xbox's Twitter account has gone down completely in the time
What
we're
do you
recording
mean?
this. Like their Twitter account,
like, they're not talking.
it's just gone. It literally says does not exist.
What?
Yeah. It's just,
At Xbox doesn't exist.
yeah,
on
it's just
Twitter, like,
it's straight up gone.
before.
It's just not there anymore.
What is going on, man? I'm
Yeah, right.
What?
We're kind of like capturing a funny moment because for those who don't know, as we record this episode, this is all happening in real time. And
right.
Xbox's social media manager said nothing to see, fixing it now, pretend I didn't break it. And with the news breaking now,
So, okay. My prediction here, if they do a shadow drop on the 15th, do you think they're going to announce that they're going to shadow drop it? Like, oh, the game's coming on the 15th, by the way, just clear your schedules. Or do you think it's just going to happen? Cuz this is developing as we speak, Matt. This is the big thing. Everybody in the chat, you're witnessing history.
Yeah, right. You are. And I find it really interesting that why would they shut down their account? like what are they going to
Who's the
do?
social media manager?
Steineken, Stein. Really, really interesting here. Because here's the thing. He screenshot the account didn't exist and was like, hey, nothing's happening.
Nothing.
You didn't see anything here.
This was 30 minutes ago.
And I'm wondering if they were like scheduling a tweet. That's a theory right now. Like they were scheduling a tweet and they were like, fuck, take it down.
No, see, an account doesn't just like disappear. And I feel like because that would be a big issue. And I think if it was, I don't think he'd be tweeting it out like in a kind of like a joking manner. I feel like this is.
I've never seen
don't know,
like a
man.
public entity just, by the way, working at a company when their Twitter account gets like hacked or shut down, that they go and say like, oh, it's not, yeah, what's up, guys? Like, here it is. It's broken. It's not working.
We deleted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not.
What do you think this does on more topic for those who are listening afterwards? What do you think this does for not multiplayer, sorry, the campaign? Do you think this drives more people to buy the campaign if there's hype and they're like, we can get it now, we can get that multiplayer now? Do they want more? Does this damage the campaign? Because we already got Game Pass working against it. Can you pay for early access for the campaign on top of this?
I'm of the mindset that it benefits it purely because I know there's people out there who are like not as interested in the campaign and really just want to play the multiplayer. So them releasing alongside like a free multiplayer or a $70 story, and it doesn't affect the multiplayer. I feel as if those people, and it's probably a good portion of people, especially people trying to save money, are like, okay, well, I could just save a lot of money by not buying the campaign. But if you wait 2 weeks after you already have that launch, you have the hype. You have people being like, oh man, this multiplayer is so fun. I want to see what the story is about. Maybe they have incentives. If you get the story, you get armor in multiplayer or something like XP boost. Actually, no, there is no XP in that game. Whatever it is, I don't know. So I think it benefits sales, for the campaign at least, because you're not isolating your community by being like you can play for free or you can buy it. You have that like that 2-week window to get people to hype up to buying it, if that makes sense. Are you reading up on the?
Yeah, no,
the
I was letting
stuff?
you go. Yeah, a lot of people were telling me to check Tom Warren's Twitter, and so I was just checking that in the meantime, and. Yeah, Paul Tassi is saying Halo Infinite multiplayer launches November 15th because I guess they got these controllers and he like rewrote it on the inside.
Dude, Tom Warren, did you see his tweets
about buy?
He said
Xbox?
buy, yeah, and there's a grave, dude. This is planned.
Yeah,
this is planned. Get your tinfoil hat on, Matt. This is serious.
Yeah. I was gonna say you're watching us all secure our hats on in real time. This is actually amazing. I find this really fascinating though because. Everyone seems to be in on it. Again, this has been a thing that was like developing behind the scenes for a while. And when I first heard it, I should give this backstory. When I first heard about Halo multiplayer coming, it wasn't even just the multiplayer. People were saying the campaign as well. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, that's not possible. There's no way. They need to take the time with that. Like the multiplayer kind of sells itself.
That'd be pointless.
And
I feel like that'd be pointless.
But that was the word at first. It was like whole thing early. And I think that shows how opportunistic they're being if I really connect the dots, because it went from that to multiplayer, and then you're seeing the reviews for both the biggest first-person shooters this fall, and now they're coming up this Monday, and it's a chance to just like put your foot on their throat. But
like Battlefield, the reviews came out yesterday, right?
Right.
Like literally yesterday. So
that's fair.
Yeah, they were waiting for that. They're like, okay, let's see how this game does.
Yeah.
We got a fork here. If it does okay, we're releasing on November 15th on Xbox. Mm-hmm. And if not, then we'll wait for December. So I don't know. They're kind of joking about it. Like maybe that's their way of like if something bad genuinely did happen. But I almost feel as if this is their way of like, guys, something's going on. Just
so just letting you know something's happening, right? That's the gist I'm getting. Otherwise, they would not. As I said about Aaron Greenberg, where he likes to shut down all excitement for the Xbox fans, I jokingly say. But yeah, if now they're all getting in on the fun, I think it's very much an encouraging sign, to say the least. I think when it comes to the campaign, though, I do genuinely believe that this will help build it, because
I agree.
Seeing is believing is how I look at it. And Halo's one of the very few first-person shooters out there where its story matters. The reason Halo 5 is called a flop really isn't even because of the multiplayer. It's fun to play. It's because of the story and how non-existent in a lot of ways it truly felt, and how inconsequential it was to that universe that people care a lot about. So I feel like a lot of people are still there, and in its sort of soft reboot state where it's going to be carrying over directly after 5 and Halo Wars 2, there is something there that's tying it together, but the way they're setting it up, it looks to be where you could pick this up fresh and kind of figure out what's going on, which I think is really exciting.
Also, God forbid Halo's story is just god awful trash.
Mm-hmm.
This protects the multiplayer. Releasing it first, it's not
Very good
it's
point.
not going to be like if the campaign is just dog shit horrible. People aren't going to be talking about the multiplayer. It'll be isolated, only talking about the campaign. And the multiplayer has its moment to shine if it releases in 3 days, like people are saying it will.
Yeah.
Matt, this is starting to look more and more likely.
Yeah, it's funny on Defining Duke. If anyone wants to date us, you can go ahead and look if you're a Last Stand patron. On Wednesday, Cog and I were both sitting there kind of rubbing our hands going in response to a patron write, and we were like, yeah, this is what we heard. So this is, like I said, this has been around for a decent amount of time. So I'm thinking it'll give them a surge in Game Pass in some way. I think it's going to be an ultimate perk. That's my guess. I would be very surprised if they just went free for everybody. Come download and play. I get
that's a good
the PR move there, right? That's strong, but it's not like they have bad PR where they need to win people over now.
Well, I think it's good because Game Pass, because it's a relatively cheap buy-in, like at least for a month. Like if you buy it on November 15th, a month of Game Pass, by the time your Game Pass runs out, the game will still be available for you if you don't want to keep buying Game Pass. So I almost like want them to do this. You know what I mean? Like Game Pass players, hey, you can play Halo because that's gonna get people buying into Game Pass. Maybe they'll stick around if they like what all the games they have to offer. Because I know
they'll probably at least stick around for an extra month, right? Because you want to get the campaign that's in there. You'll be like, okay, I'll play this in December when it's available. I'll extend my membership for a month.
I mean, like Game Pass is the biggest thing Xbox has going for it in terms of making money. It's been very lucrative, but like they want to maintain that. They want to keep that going. And this is a very, very, very a big power play.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're going to see even more developments even after the show. Like we'll see more people coming out and saying things. Maybe Xbox support's going to go down next on Twitter. We have a super chat, Matt.
We do. We have a couple of super chats, actually. Let's speak with DBL Wide Surprise, who had super chat. Thoughts on SMT5? Cheers. That's in the mail and on the way, so I'm excited to check it out when I get some time. I'm playing Skyrim and KOTOR right now, so it might be a little bit.
I'm going to wait for that one because from what I read, it doesn't really seem like it's up my alley.
Right. I hear you on that. It looks a little hardcore. We have White Strake as a new member of the channel. Thank you so much for signing up. Hargeet Shani writes in, if Halo Infinite MP doesn't release on November 15th, what else do you want Xbox to do? Can't be a new game, but maybe a remaster, back compat update. Yeah, let's take it in that direction, right? I think that's a good way to sort of springboard the conversation. Let's say it's not Halo. What do you think they do for Xbox's anniversary? Because we're seeing, at least I've noticed, shout out to Special Nick and Xbox Era, they've been sort of tracking this, but some older Xbox games have been getting updates. We just saw, apparently in chat, someone said Fable Anniversary had updated. A couple people were saying that. And then what was also really interesting is I saw Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate was available for purchase, and it would stay in the purchasing history, and Xbox did take Special Nick's money. So I think they are going to add more to the back compat library. We don't know how much, but that was the original safe assumption. Now it sounds like they're going to blow the doors down with Halo Infinite on top of that. But what do you think they're going to do if it isn't Halo Infinite?
Dude, I don't know, because what do they have going besides what you mentioned, right? You got games being updated, Halo Infinite. I mean, Halo Infinite is basically the thing that's going to be carrying Xbox throughout 2020 or to the end of 2021, right? And even into 2022 a little bit. So that's more that I see. I feel like the fact that we don't really know what they're doing, and the fact that there's really not much they can do, at least that we're thinking of, sort of lends credence to the idea of it coming out. And I know that wasn't the question, but I'm more so saying that because I don't really know.
No, I get what you're saying, though. And they've effectively cornered themselves. They said they don't expect news, don't expect game reveals. So we know that's not going to be there. So it's like, okay, then updates on your older stuff. And that's where the Halo fits in pretty well. That's where back compat fits in extremely well. And I remember when I posted my picture of my copy of, what was the game? Jet Set Radio Future. Got a couple of messages saying, hey, Matty, you may want to hold on to that copy for a little bit longer. So we'll see what that means. But I feel pretty good about that one. So If that doesn't get a back compat update on their anniversary, that was a launch title. I'd be fucking surprised. It writes itself, but
It'll
we'll see.
happen eventually.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen eventually.
We still have more Xbox to talk about beyond Halo, so we'll get into that in a moment. We just have one more super chat from the Nerdy Giant, probably off topic with Maddie. Beyond Good and Evil 2 canceled rumor. I did not see this, but I'm not really crazy into Beyond Good and Evil. I haven't even played the first one, so I personally don't have many thoughts on this one. Paul, do you?
No, I didn't even know that a cancel rumor was happening.
I mean, it makes sense. Again, I just said something else writes itself, but this does too, because honestly, Beyond Good and Evil was a game series that was out in the early 2000s, and it was really good. Then they announced a sequel like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And it was from Ubisoft, who again, we have no confidence in them. And like now, what are we gonna do now? Like we're gonna be excited for it all of a sudden? No, I'm definitely not into what they're doing currently. So that game is likely still in development hell, and hopefully they can dig themselves out. All right, we got one more super chat. Wow. Fire71 says, thoughts on GTA Definitive Edition? Still on 3 like nostalgia, but feel they should have gone the Mafia 1 treatment. It's not like Rockstar had been doing anything else, or like they're poor. That's funny.
You know what's interesting about this? So I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think the people who did GTA Definitive Edition
wasn't Rockstar.
The trilogy. It's Grove Street Games, and I know that because they're like stationed in my hometown. That's where they are at. But why don't they do this stuff in house? I know that's not the question. I'll wait. You should probably answer the question, but
no. I mean, that's answering it. What are our thoughts on it? Like, go for it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, they hand it off, and now we're seeing a lot of problems with it. And I imagine Rockstar is not too happy about that, right? The Switch, and I think the PC version. This is a news topic we're going to talk about. I don't know if it's the next one, but it's a good question to transition.
Yeah, it's not the next one,
it's suffering.
But yeah, it's not looking good, and I think it's really disappointing. Yeah. But it shows that Skyrim is the king of the remasters, because it came out no real big problems. There was a save issue. There's some people who are having an issue with saving the names, but yeah, they've had time to perfect that craft, right? Getting the Skyrim re-released, right? But
yeah, imagine they mess up Skyrim again, or like after releasing it, like
the PlayStation version's just busted, like the PS3 version. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about Xbox. We got some new exclusives that had leaked over this past week, and this is courtesy of Jez Corden, dad of Xbox. He wrote a great article over on Windows Central, which you can all check out right now. We're going to read through it together, of course. So, new upcoming Xbox exclusives revealed: Project Midnight from Compulsion and Pentiment from Obsidian. Now, for those who don't know, Compulsion Games is responsible for We Happy Few. And then we have Pentiment, which is Obsidian Entertainment. So, let's start off with Compulsion Games. Compulsion joined Microsoft near the start of their content acquisition spree. The firm is known primarily for We Happy Few, which, despite some gameplay problems, delivered big in the art direction department. We Happy Few's twisted vision of a fallen Britain proved a truly intriguing concept and solidified Compulsion as a studio with a lot of potential. Recently, we received some details on Compulsion's first outing as part of Xbox Game Studios. Currently codenamed Midnight, this upcoming title is supposedly a third-person action game set in a dark and fantastical world. Some of the game's early concept artwork can be seen above, which again, I encourage you to check out Jez's article so you can see it for yourself. They represent the game's protagonists alongside warped harpy-like humanoids that appear to descend through various iterations of mutation. On the left, we can see what appears to be a harpy nest dwellings built atop a tree. Midnight is described as a coming-of-age tale drawing upon inspirations from America's Deep South. The game features magic and large fantastical beasts, and with a strong Southern Gothic vibe. The game is a wholly single-player experience with what has been described to me as a strong story. Right now, I have no info on the launch timings of Midnight, but you're likely looking at the next couple of years for an official reveal and perhaps even a full launch, although it could come later depending on Compulsion's growth and ambitions for the title. Let's pause there. We'll get to Obsidian in a little bit. I heard you, a little bit of approval there.
Yeah.
What do you think of this game in the Deep South?
Well, it's not even the Deep South, Matt. It's like, remember, what was it last week? We were talking about Josh Sawyer's game being set in the Colombian era. And it's like, I'm loving these like crazy, like the random settings that we don't really see in Deep South, Gothic Deep South.
Yeah,
I don't even know what
really
that
weird.
means.
Yeah, what does that look like?
like Bloodborne and like Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah. Like Bloodborne, Far Cry. I don't know. A gothic deep
That's
south.
really cool though. I love that news.
Like
That's interesting.
Like, are you gonna see like a pickup truck parked next to like a spiky tower or something? I don't know what that even means. Like, it's so different.
Yeah.
Even the concept art, you
But
and I can look at it. You can see
yeah.
the main character in the middle and what she looks like, and she looks sick, by the way. But it's very, very like 18th century almost. Like, it's very old what she's wearing. And
Right.
fantastical would suggest this is of course, based off the name, fantasy. And I mean,
Well, there's a harpy there, right? So I don't
you
know
know
if that's
what?
an enemy or whatever.
That harpy nest on the left kind of reminds me of The Witcher. I wonder if that's what the world's going to look
Yeah,
like.
I was thinking The Witcher as well. It does look a lot like The
I think
Witcher.
that might be a good art comparison for sure.
Mm. I mean, even her outfit sort of looks like The Witcher, right? Something you'd see in The
Yes.
Witcher.
Yeah.
It's a coming of age tale in the Deep South, America's Deep South, with a Southern Gothic vibe. What does that mean? We're gonna have to see more. I like what I hear. I like innovation. I like something different. Um, Gothic
Sounds like
settings are awesome.
a very, coming of age is like, youth to adulthood, right?
Like
So,
Persona.
yeah, so like a growth. And
Uh-huh.
that's perfect for a game, of course, right? But
Right.
we've seen that many times before. But it's interesting because when you play We Happy Few, the best character in that game was really the world, because of the way these people would pop joy and they'd smile at you all bright and be like, "Hi, how's it going?" They'd be happy because they were taking pills to be happy, even if they were sad on the inside. There was like a really cool theme behind all of that, where that was like the strongest component of that game. Where this seems like it's very character driven, which is different from what they've done in the past. It wasn't character driven in We Happy Few. Have you ever played that, by the way?
No, but I've seen like I didn't play it because I think its first launch was kind of like, wasn't it like a little iffy sort of?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't crazy. That's why I was like, I don't think you have, but
Yeah,
just
no,
gotta
I've
make
never
sure.
played it, but I was interested in it when it was revealed. But yeah, if that's not a story-driven game, then this is looking to be, because coming of age, as far as I know, I think what's the main character's name in that game? In
Oh, We Happy Few.
you don't remember? Yeah, okay. If you don't remember, then yeah. But I remember it wasn't really centered around that character as much as like you're saying, the world and the characters you come across and the pill popping.
Yeah.
So coming of age is a very strong, like almost a genre defining, not genre as in gameplay, but plot genre defining.
Yes.
Now we know what's going on
Yes.
to an extent.
Absolutely. Actually, someone had written in chat, "Hey, Matt, he just finished his podcast and said that it's still going to be heavily stylized like We Happy Few," which is good to hear, because We Happy Few wasn't a great game, but its style and its world, like, I wanted to be in it, but when you find out it's all procedurally generated, oh my God, it's just terrible. Really disappointing. So that's that. Then we got Obsidian's Pentiment, which you and I talked about last week a little bit. More concept art for that. Recently revealed by Jeff Grubb, on his Premium Grubbsack show, Obsidian's indie-style effort is emerging from a small team led by Josh Sawyer, famed for his leadership on what is arguably the best Fallout game, New Vegas, as well as a personal favorite, Pillars of Eternity. I recently revealed the game's name with my co-host Randall Thor on our Xbox 2 podcast. It's being called Pentiment, which refers to an underlying image in a painting, especially one that has become visible when the top layer of the paint has turned transparent with age, according to the dictionary. This naming convention hints at the game's premise, by which you act as an investigator in 16th century Europe, uncovering the truth behind a grisly murder. Grubb mentioned that Pentiment takes cues from the likes of Disco Elysium and the branching narrative designs Josh Sawyer is known for. You'll be able to investigate and make accusations against the characters in-game, which could lead to cascading consequences if you're wrong. It'll be a dialogue-heavy game with decisions to make and response options to choose from, which will shape your experience as you unwrap the murder mystery before you. I am told that Pentiment is still being built by a small team of around 12 people and is more of a narrative RPG adventure than something combat-oriented. The art asset above, which you and I were just talking about, may represent some of the game's designs that they're gunning for. Jeff Grubb also mentioned Pentiment is exploring experimental gameplay elements too, although they may ultimately not make it into the final release. Speaking of which, Grubb also noted that Pentiment is indeed gunning for a 2022 game release. The underpinning reality among all of these games projects is that Microsoft is investing more than ever into first-party game portfolios, from smaller games like Pentiment to large titles with hundreds of developers like Halo Infinite. So, what do you think of some of the expanded information here on Pentiment? Some of it we already discussed. Most of it we actually did. But seeing around a team of 12 people, I think, was a more specific number we didn't have. And
yeah, we knew it was really small.
Yeah, narrowing
small.
it down to narrative RPG adventure. It's a little bit more specific. We just heard it was not content or not combat. If I could fucking speak these last 5 minutes, I swear. But any thoughts that have developed since our last conversation based on some of the new information we have here?
I mean, we were right? We talked about this last week, and we were more so speculating because we only had a little drip feed of news or a report about it. But I don't know. I'm stoked that Xbox is taking chances because this is a chance in my eyes. Like, well, you have Josh Sawyer, so there's pedigree there. You know, like something good is going to come out.
Safe bet.
But a lot of experimental stuff is apparently happening with this game. Stuff that might not make it in, which I like because that means we can see innovation. That means we can see something we haven't seen before. But it worries me because they say, oh, they're looking at a 2022 launch, but they're still experimenting with gameplay systems. That's a little questionable.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this got moved into 2023. When I talked to Jeff Grubb on the channel, he said that it's probably second half of 2022, the earliest.
Yeah. So, definitely.
Yeah. So it's still a little bit of a ways out. It's interesting. Max G also wrote, he's been filling us in on what Jez has been saying. He said Jez mentioned that he believes it's using the Pillars engine and possibly isometric, but it's also possible that it's top down like 12 minutes. I hope it's not top down. I don't like that style personally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of it either. Isometric is like a good sort of like way to approach a game like that, especially what's like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
I love the setting. Both these games have really cool settings or setting ideas. I don't know how it'll actually turn out, like what the product will be like, but I don't know. I guess I keep harping on about it, but one thing you'll learn about me with games is I love when they take chances and try something new because that's how we get good games. That's how we get innovation. That's how we get
I love that it's not
shifting.
I know that it's not just Disco Elysium doing this, right? Like, I haven't played Disco.
Right.
I know a lot of people want me to play it, but I haven't played it yet. But that non-combat RPG is tough to do, and I think Josh Sawyer is a perfect fit to try this. So I'm just happy that it's not just the team at Disco Elysium owning the non-combat genre. It's what I always say about, like, even things I talked a long while ago earlier in this year about, for example, game leaks and how I believe in multiple pipelines. It shouldn't just be coming from one person. I like that Jez is in on leaks now. Like, Jez has been a new name that's been coming up. People are hearing what he has to report on Xbox. He's been really going hard this year. That's been amazing to see. It's the same thing here with game genres too. It's like, I don't want just one company making non-combat RPGs. I don't want one company making Persona games, which is what we're kind of seeing right now. Like, we just have we don't see any Persona likes, like one-to-oneing their daily system and seeing how they can evolve it. We don't see any of that. Not yet. But we just, I mean, that's the thing. We see so many games that just stay in their own corners. And I get it because we all want to be unique. But iteration and evolution is also really important for new ideas to make current standing ideas better. So I'm just really excited about everything that we're seeing from Xbox right now. And I just hope they keep doing this.
People wonder like why folks get mad if like a dev company comes out and patents a gameplay system, and it's because every game that comes out borrows something from someone else. Yeah. This is a genre that's not genre. This is an industry that builds on top of each other. The more we see different things used in other games, you'll get it pulled into another game, but they'll do it differently, and that's just how it's always been. So it's nice that we're seeing at least someone step up and try pulling things from, say, Disco Elysium and doing something that I'd argue is a big risk because non-combat RPG probably doesn't sound exciting to a lot of people.
Yeah,
like
not
a lot
easy
of
to
people.
sell. Not at all.
But when you have Josh Sawyer there, who's going to create these like diverging storylines, especially when you don't have to worry about combat and other aspects of your game, you can really hone in on that narrative.
Yeah, that's the exciting part. Exactly that.
Yeah. So I think that we'll see if it's something that's worth looking at or not. But I'm just happy that even if it's not something that ends up being good, I'm just happy that it's happening because maybe the next time it'll be, right?
Yeah, right. Or maybe we see there's room for combat. Or maybe it's the LA Noir sequel we never got. You know, like it's just
Yeah, exactly.
another way of looking at it. Like maybe it does really well and we see it on a bigger budget where it's not isometric. It's like more up close and you see them personally. Like what I'd love for them to do with a game like this is, I'm going to be talking to people a lot and interrogating them. I think isometric is good, but I hope they do what Wasteland 3 does, where certain conversations, like they brought the camera down and the character was fully animated speaking to you. It made them not just look like this little speck on the map, like a little pixel, but more like an actual person. And if you're going to be like breaking down if you're going to be breaking down their arguments and accusing people of murder, I just hope that that's something that they do. That, or like almost a Civilization style where you see the character on the left, like reacting to different accusations we're making. I think that'd be really cool too.
Well,
Murder mysteries sound great to me too.
It's funny you bring up LA Noire because that was one of the game's strongest points, is that when you're interrogating someone, it's not like, oh, you just have to pick apart their dialogue. And it's obviously, when you look back at it now, it looks a little aged, but they had like the animations were telling of lies, of truth telling, of fibs. So if we could see something like that in this game, although I don't think we're going to, because they made it clear that it's a very art-driven game, and I almost wonder like how hard it would be to translate those sort of facial structures and those emotions into animation. It'd be very tough, and it would probably be costly.
Absolutely. So we'll see how that develops, but I just like that Xbox is investing in some pretty new ideas. So we will see indeed how that all turns out, but we move on unless you have anything more to say on these two exclusives that have leaked.
No, I'm just excited to see these settings, really. That's like awesome. I'm happy we're getting different, like, cool settings.
I agree. We've seen enough of the
Gothic Cowboys.
Yeah. All right. Next up on our list, we had a Todd Howard interview with Ryan McCaffrey, or Coffee Bean, as you wrote it here. And he sat down with Todd Howard for close to, or I think a little bit more than 40 minutes.
It was like 40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. It was an IGN Unfiltered interview. And it was there that Todd talked pretty transparently about what's going on with Starfield, what's going on with Elder Scrolls 6, what's even going on with Fallout 5. So I'm going to give you all the Spark Notes version of the interview, and then Kopi and I will discuss. So let's start off with Fallout 5. We were asked about, or I'm sorry, not we. I wasn't there. Todd was asked about Fallout 5.
You wish.
And, yeah, I do. That'd be sick. But he was asked about Fallout 5 and what's happening with that. Of course, with Fallout being last in line now, because we know Starfield's next and Elder Scrolls 6, where does Fallout fall into all of this? And it turns out that they have a one-page concept prepared for Fallout 5. And when asked about, well, you have Obsidian, you have In Exile going out there and making all great types of RPGs, you know, what are you going to do with them? And Todd was pretty open, saying, well, we're not really ready to say what's going on with Fallout. Effectively stating, he cut himself off, which was really interesting. He started to say, I don't see that happening. But right when he said that, he stopped and he went something along the lines of, you know, Fallout's a part of our DNA now, almost like they wanted to keep their hands on it. So let's stop there. We'll cut this into 3 slices. We'll start with Fallout because that was the simplest one. He really hesitated to say he doesn't see it happening, though. Do you think that means something, or do you think he realized, like, never say never kind of approach?
I think it's a never say never thing, mainly because like Microsoft is probably the decider with that. Like I feel as if, because Microsoft technically owns Fallout, right? I guess Bethesda does, but they own Bethesda. So I almost feel as if he doesn't want to come out and say like, no, it'll never happen, because I think Bethesda is the ultimate decider of that. Well, not ultimate. I think Microsoft is like, okay, you guys, you know how to handle your licenses and stuff, but I think Todd knows, like, if Phil really wants a In Exile or whatever to do Fallout, then it can happen and it will happen. So that's my takeaway from it. Or maybe the fact that it's sort of been something that they've discussed and talked about.
Sure.
I think personally that Fallout 4 didn't do as well as Bethesda wanted, and Todd knows that. And
4 or 76?
4 and 76.
Okay.
Both of them. Yeah. But especially 76. And I think that they sort of want to reclaim, like, hey, we can do Fallout and we can do it well. So I feel like they want to do that before, but that's just pure speculation, almost on Todd's personality, if anything.
Yeah, but it's fair, because I was talking about it with Cog on Defining Duke, and I was thinking to myself, you know, you handed it out to Obsidian, they kind of one up you, right? You hand it
Right,
out
exactly.
to, even though it's, I put this in quotes, internal, you hand it over to Bethesda Game Studios Austin, and they do irreparable damage to your brand now. Like, not even
Right.
just damage to Fallout, but damage to Bethesda Game Studios. And it got me thinking, based off his interview answer, how keen should he actually be to hand this off to someone a third time?
Yeah.
Right?
Like especially when Microsoft now effectively decides what you do. Maybe they don't want to like Microsoft when they want to do Fallout 5. Like let's say Todd gets they finally hand Fallout off to Obsidian or
Mm-hmm.
whoever and they Banger obviously would be and Phil's like, huh, yeah, you're not going to do Fallout anymore.
Mm,
Like that maybe that's the worry. I don't
mm,
know. That's a very valid concern because Fallout 4 was good, but it wasn't Fallout 3, and it wasn't Fallout New Vegas, and it wasn't Skyrim. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Fallout 4 is a good game, but it's
mm-hmm.
not perfect. It's definitely a down step. But then 76 happens. And 76 is just a mess. It's a
Yeah.
big mess. And I imagine they're still picking up the pieces from said mess. So, you know, I imagine like one, they want to reclaim their ability to make a good Fallout game. And two, if they
Right.
hand it off, maybe they won't see it again. Maybe it's like going to college, 18 years old and packing his bags and moving out.
Yeah. It's just, it makes sense why they would want to do it that way. It's just not
Right.
a logical conclusion I'm willing to accept quite yet, because there's so much potential in the license. And I don't think it's, this is going to sound very entitled, but I don't mean it this way, but I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that you have a license that you absorbed, you used twice, technically three times. I'm sorry, three times, technically four times if we want to include Obsidian, and then you just bail on it for a decade. I'm sorry, but
Hmm.
that's not fair. That's not right. And of course, I'm a huge Fallout fan, so I take it a little bit more personally. But I just think that there needs to be a balance here. And you have, unlike Starfield, which is your new baby, and unlike Elder Scrolls, which has been your baby for 20 plus years, you have an opportunity here to actually hand it off to capable hands. At least that
Right.
has a chance. And not only that, but before you even absorbed it and bought it, you had a chance, or you have a chance here, to work with the people who fucking gave birth to the series too. That's the more
Hmm.
important part. So that's why I don't like the idea of like, we want to hold on to it and prove it to people. It's like, you had your chance. You did a great job
Yeah.
one time. You did all right the next time. Like, I like Fallout 4, but it's not the best
Yeah.
Fallout game. And then you fucked up big time the next time. Like, but that's a license that its live service model is not like ESO, where I could see a long future in it. 76 has very
Not at
weak
all.
legs. It's not going to go very far. It's like, it's time. It's time to start thinking about
Right.
moving this somewhere else, right? And I thought his answer was both telling and a little bit disappointing here. And
Yeah.
I hope that they do consider shifting that IP a little bit, because it's the only one that they could balance out a little bit. And if they want to do it internally so bad and get goodwill real quick, we don't need to go down this path, but you know what they got to do, right? You know what they got to do.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
remasters.
Yeah, exactly. That's something they could really, like, if they want to get that goodwill, just remake Fallout 3, New
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, or whatever. And because that's what people are asking for, that more so than 5, because they know 5 isn't going to come anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fallout's like the weird middle child with Bethesda now, because you got Starfield, the baby that was just born, or
Mm-hmm.
the mom was pregnant,
Yeah.
the baby's coming. Elder Scrolls is another game's coming out after that, and where does that leave Fallout? Like
Mm-hmm.
Fallout 5 far into the future. Like I don't want to have a family when Fallout 5 is coming out.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
a 20-year-old guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm young, but Fallout 5 is looking at least like what, next generation
Yeah.
game.
Literally 10
Like
years from now.
like
Literally 10 years from now.
ES6. Like it's insane.
Yeah, because we're probably getting ES6 in 2025, the earliest. That's wishful thinking, right? That's probably like
Yeah.
2026, because Starfield's
Dude,
2022, and then you're thinking 3 years later we're getting ES6. That'd be fucking insane.
we're getting that game on the tail end of this generation,
Mm-hmm.
which is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's happening. And I don't know, Microsoft really, I don't know who's like greedily holding the license, but somebody needs to step in and be like, hey, it's okay.
Yeah, there needs to
If
be a little
someone has
divine
Fallout.
intervention here for sure.
Yeah, I although Obsidian's like really busy, so maybe
Yeah,
it wouldn't be them. And at that point, it's a risk. 'Cause if you're
exactly.
handing off to, it's like, okay, I think they can do it. But if anybody else, it's a risk. and this is a IP that doesn't need risk anymore. It doesn't need any more risks. It needs
I
to get it
agree.
right.
I agree. That's why the
Yeah.
remaster route is kind of where everyone wants them to
Yeah,
go.
it's
Yeah.
it's safe. All they have to do is do what they already did with the game, make it look pretty, maybe update some of
Skyrim
the systems.
Anniversary Edition it up. Yeah. Just give it the little
Imagine
Skyrim treatment.
imagine they remaster or remake Fallout 3 and
Hmm.
then they leave out skills like they did in 4. And they just butcher it.
Yeah. Yeah. That. Let's not.
Let's not imagine
Yeah. Let's
that.
not. I would like to live in a little bubble here. So that's what's going on with Fallout. Then we got Starfield. A lot
Hold
of
on, hold on.
encouraging stuff there. Oh, sorry. What's up?
Someone in chat just said that Todd's also overseeing Indiana Jones,
Yeah, I
which
was
is
gonna
like
get to that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because there's a lot that he's up to, and
Mhm.
him overseeing stuff. When we get to that Indiana Jones part, it'll loop back into Fallout. You'll see why. Let's talk Starfield real quick, because we now have heard some of the soundtrack for Starfield, which my ad is sounding very good. But also in the interview, Todd talked about the guts of the engine and how they've been overhauled and how they're working on AI more. And by that, like the responsiveness of the AI in the world and making those systems deeper. And one of those systems is this new skills system in Starfield where you're allowed to check your background. You're allowed to have what seems to be a mix of Elder Scrolls and Fallout skills. He doesn't really get into how that works. Obviously, he wants us just to see it instead of telling us, which I respect and understand. But between those two things there, how are you feeling about Starfield action this week? Quite unexpected. And full mod support is on the way, too.
The soundtrack. Well, you know, but I guess this sort of ties into what Starfield, but Todd on the podcast, he was like, one of the first things they do, not the podcast, the interview, one of the first things they do is they make the soundtrack, which to both of us was like mind boggling. And even Ryan McCaffrey was sitting there like, oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
But, the Starfield soundtrack, oh, dude, I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. It's very atmospheric, gave me
Mhm.
Star Wars vibes. I know it gave you Star Wars vibes.
Yes.
And it makes me see like, wow, no wonder they do soundtrack first, because you can picture the game in your head, especially with concept art. Like you
Mhm.
can picture walking around these locations. I'm excited. I'm like super excited for Starfield now. I know it sounds weird, but I was like excited before, mainly because we haven't seen much. But now I'm like, let's do this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm in. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, as they start to peel back more layers and drip feed us information on the world, we are seeing more concept art. And Todd is saying it probably won't be till summer next year, which is to be expected that we see a full gameplay reveal where we can really see all this stuff in action. But it's sounding more and more like Bethesda's Star Wars. Like that's what it's
Mhm.
sounding like to me. And that sounds very appealing, might I add,
Yeah.
because when you really look at the sci-fi RPG genre in general, but just sci-fi gaming as a whole, I think Mass Effect really gave people a good fix, but it reminded us all at the same time that we've seen some attempts, but there hasn't been a really good sci-fi RPG in a long, long while. And that with Mass Effect coming probably 2024, 2025, the new one, Starfield has a really good opportunity here to remind people how good sci-fi role-playing is. And I think we might be in for a treat there, at least atmospherically. We'll see how the rest of the game is, but the atmosphere you can already
Yeah.
feel, and like you could tell
Mhm.
based off how Bethesda's cadence is rather Einon Zer's. You could tell like when it was a battle track, when it was an exploration
Yeah.
track, when it was the main theme of the game, and I was
When
like,
it's like
damn.
when the horizon, like you're looking out the window, like
Mm-hmm.
you picture, like
Mm-hmm.
it's what I was saying, you can picture it in your head. Um, and it's kind of funny you mentioned that about sci-fi RPGs, because like next year we're getting KOTOR remake, now we're getting
Mm-hmm.
Starfield, we're getting
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect, which was teased recently. Um, sci-fi fans are gonna be eating good next year.
Oh yeah. I was actually trying to look up Starfield on Spotify.
It's probably not on there.
Yeah, because they said that they were
Doing
going
this-
to they said they were going to put down. Well, it's not here, but they were going to
Oh,
put it
they
on
said it.
on audio services afterwards.
Oh,
Because I thought
so
the
that's
name of the song would be telling, right? I thought it'd be
yeah.
very
It
telling.
said Starfield Suite, and there might be a music person in the chat, but from what I understand, a suite is like a mashup
Mm-hmm.
of I'm actually gonna Google it real quick because I want to know, because that'll tell us more about the
Yeah.
um
It sounded like a collection of tracks. Like each one had a little bit of a different tone.
yeah, a self-contained instrumental movements of varying character, usually in the same key. So pretty much music people out there, That's sort of what it sounds like to me. Like different songs, but all sort of in the same key, so it meshes together really well.
Sure.
So Matt, what do you think this means? Like for Starfield State, do you think? Because Todd was very sort of iffy on it, right? He was like, I don't want to be for sure, but it's probably coming out. But do you think, like, is it 2022? This is it. We're gonna get it, or
It's so funny. The way you posed it was like he was iffy, and for me, I think it just shows that a lot of this interview is up to interpretation because I took it more as like he was really confident, and
I guess so. Yeah.
Because at first he was like, Ryan goes, "Oh, this date on the calendar is in pencil," and then Todd corrects him and he goes,
pen.
"Yeah," he's like, "It's in ink or whatever," and I'm like, why did he go out of his way to do that? He like interrupted Ryan to say it too. He's like, "We put it out there."
I think it's because like he knows that there could be something, and he doesn't want to disappoint Microsoft or whoever. Like, it doesn't want to be the person that says something that doesn't end up being true. Because Todd is notorious for that. So.
Yeah, I think because it's funny because as he said that, you saw him slowly reeling it back.
Yeah.
And like
he threw it out and then he's like,
yeah, exactly, exactly that, man. He was very slowly reeling it back in, where he was like he made it very known this game was good and ready to go, and then he was like, let me just dial it back in case, because I think he gets excited about his own games, which is great to see.
Dude, I love that.
But
Todd's one of my favorite personalities.
Dude, I love listening to the guy talk. Like, I have very few people that I enjoy just listening to them speak on things. Like, Todd could literally tell me a story of how he fucking wiped his ass with a diner napkin, and I'd find it fascinating. So,
Todd can read me bedtime stories. I'll listen every time.
Yeah, he would just make them really interesting just by default. So,
Todd Howard ASM.
Oh yeah, he should do that. He would be rich. I would love this. I would love to see him get out and do more interviews. But I think when it comes to your question about the date, I think confidently it's going to come out that date. Because here's the thing: is I said this on Defining Duke as well. I found it really interesting that the reports and the rumors for a while that I had put out there, by the way, so I'll take full accountability for it. Myself and many others had reported though in 2020. Hey, this game is apparently like pretty feature complete, or it's like getting there, and that they're effectively going to move into polishing very soon. And the rumor was end of 2020 it was going to come out, which then got squashed out. We talked about it here on the channel. But hearing those rumors, which made sense given Bethesda's timeline and how Starfield was handled as a project, where it started after Fallout 4, mind you, and then now hearing how Todd was very confidently going like, it's in ink. It's ready kind of mindset is what I got from it. And that when he said, oh, it's playable from start to finish, again, I started to think to myself, were those rumors actually true to some extent? Like maybe they weren't what I was, by the way, hold myself accountable, myself and others were reporting, which ended up not being fully true. Was there actually truth to it? Because I feel like what he said indicated there was some truth to them.
Yeah.
Because they came from sources that... Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I was going to say they came from sources that typically weren't wrong. So it was really weird and like a little frustrating when it happened because I was like, I don't know how this is actually going down. But sorry, continue. I interrupted you.
Well, it's just COVID like pushed so many things back. And I know these rumors were like sort of, they happened like after, I guess like they were in 2021. You were reporting on this. So I think.
It was 2020, I think, mid-2020, I want to say.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, that makes total sense then. If you were reporting this in mid 2020, COVID pushing Starfield back another year makes. I don't know.
I don't remember at this point. Continue. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think either way, it does sort of add truth to what Oh, it's in ink because COVID pushed so many things back, not just games, but all kinds of shit. So with that in mind, the 2021 release date really did make sense, especially like the start of a new generation and all that. So yeah, I think we'll see it in 2022. The reason I said it was because he kept reeling it back in.
He did.
Like it's almost like he remembered something. He was like,
"Yeah, he was like, man, that spaceship bug fucking sucks, man. We might have to get rid of that." So we'll see how he handles that. Next up on the list of things he talked about was the wait for Elder Scrolls 6. This is, I guess, less of a topic for discussion, but more insight. Is that he said it's not ideal how long that folks have to wait for Elder Scrolls 6. He mentioned how because of he called it a vibrant brand that they felt comfortable with where it was at. You know, with Skyrim being, of course, so successful, they can sell it to us again. Then Elder Scrolls Online being so successful that they can continue to monetize that and support that, and they're doing good work with that, where he almost felt comfortable walking away. But I guess what the real kicker is the reason Elder Scrolls 6 is taking so long is because of Starfield, and not just by coincidence alone, but when they were deciding which one to do, they said they wanted to do something new with Starfield first, because if not then when would they ever do it, right? And I thought that was the more interesting part of it all. So what do you make of his real transparency on why we're waiting so long for Elder Scrolls 6, and do you think it's a good move for them to say, like, yeah, we're going to do this new thing first before we move to the thing everyone's been waiting for since Skyrim came out and its DLC finished?
I respect it because, one, everybody who's waiting for the Elder Scrolls will still be there when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. No one's going away. The fans are still there. And a lot of people don't like this, but Skyrim is still a living, breathing game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elder Scrolls Online is still a living, breathing game. These games, I mean, Skyrim just came out again. There's still content being added to it, even though it's Creation Club. Modders are still in there. And I think, like, I respect Bethesda as, like, a company. Once again, we were talking about Obsidian earlier. And, like, these companies trying something new, innovating, not giving into, like, the consumer demand, and not giving into what might be the most lucrative option is something that needs to happen more in gaming, because it's how we get these amazing, crazy titles. Like, look at Rockstar. Do you think they think it's ideal that their games come out basically every generation? No, definitely not.
Good point.
But they get to make the games that they love. They get to really dive deep into them and do what they want to do with their games. They're not pressured. So I'm hoping that Bethesda. Well, I feel like Bethesda's not pressured by Xbox as much. And as much as I want the Elder Scrolls 6, I do want to see what Starfield's all about. I want to see Fallout 5 more than anything. And I'm really disappointed that it's probably not going to be going to another developer. But, you know, I'm happy that Bethesda is doing what they want to do as a developer company, because that's most important. That's how we see good games, when you have passionate developers doing what they want.
Well said. And I think just to cap that off, really, is that you saw what happened with Fallout 76 when they're forced to do something. Because while they had a choice in that, there was definitely an internal pressure to say, like, we need something for Fallout to exist while we go off and do our next two games, which are not going to be Fallout. So they needed something that they thought they could iterate on, which failed, by the way. So now they're in a deeper shithole with that.
Or just pressure to do games as a service, because I don't think besides, like, Elder Scrolls Online, like, they didn't really have something in that department. And back when that came out, that shit was kicking off, right?
Yeah.
Now we see a bunch of games like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had that pressure and it didn't work out. So I respect Bethesda doing what they're doing, and I want to see Starfield. I'm excited.
I'm with you too. I want to see them do something new, because you can tell with Fallout 4 they had fun. With 76, they did not look like they had fun. Like, you could feel a spirit in each of their games, and you didn't feel the inspired passion that is in their usual games in the last two. I love Fallout 4, but when I go to Fallout 4, I think of, like, a time with the community. But when I go to Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, there is a special feeling and essence in those worlds that they've made that just aren't in some of their latest games. So I want to see them really inspired with Starfield. That's what I'm aiming to see. They kind of return to form. So like I said, we had one more thing to talk about that will wrap it back into Fallout 5 in a strange way, which is Indiana Jones. So we get a little bit of insight on Todd's role there, because he's executive producer over on that project, and a lot of people don't know what that means, but producer's effectively the play caller, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together and working from that front. What he described executive producer as was effectively overseeing things, checking in once a week, sometimes once a month. So it's not a high in demand position. But like I said, with Fallout, why can't he serve as executive producer for a new Fallout game somewhere else? This is the only idea I just wanted to put forth before I pass it to you.
That's something I haven't thought of, and it's a good question, but I think it's because, I mean, it's a good thing. I think Todd sees, like, Bethesda making a Fallout game isn't just about him. It's about his studio, studio's pedigree and their reputation. So I think that's more so, like, why, like, Todd Howard oversaw Fallout 5, but it was made by inXile or whoever. I think Todd this is just, like, pure speculation again, but I do think that they want to have that chance to make Fallout 5 as good as as it is, and to remedy what happened with 4, but especially 76.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'm pretty sure that he served as executive producer on Fallout 76, which a lot of
Yeah, he.
people were very convinced he
Hmm.
was like a director of. And I was like, no, Todd wasn't in on that. And now hearing
Hmm.
how he describes his role, I got to check back on that. I can't say that for certain, but I'm
I
pretty sure he was. And if so, that's such
I
a
think
fuck you to so many people.
I think so too, because you said that they were working on Starfield after Fallout 4 came out.
Yeah, that
So
was his team for sure.
yeah, with that in mind, he's heading that, and then
Mhm.
76 was sort of he's looking over his shoulder like, yeah, you guys are doing good.
Yeah. I
Yeah, good.
know Jeff Gardner, who was a part of the Maryland office, was like the project director. And of course, some members of BGS Maryland were 100% in on 76, but
Yeah,
I think you can
that
tell
game
it was
was
the
thrown
Todd Howard game. And
around
it's,
like yeah, it was thrown around.
yeah, you can just feel there's a certain essence there. Uh,
Hmm.
that's everything that we really extracted from the Todd Howard interview. A lot there. And then, like I said, he did an AMA where he talked a little bit more on Starfield, and we highlighted some of those details here. So anything you want to tag on before we move along to another piece of Xbox news?
No, I just really love listening to Todd Howard talk. I
Mm-hmm.
can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, give me
I'm
more.
excited to see him at E3 when
Yeah.
he comes on stage. He's like, guys, it doesn't always just work.
Yeah. He's only got the one liner that sticks out. So I'm curious what it'll be with Starfield.
He's got like the leather jacket on. I love Todd. It's great.
Absolutely. All right, this one's a pretty quick one, but Forza Horizon 5's player count must be acknowledged. This is by Phil Spencer. He said that it's the most successful Xbox Game Studios title ever. And this is when it hit 4.5 million players in its launch day, right? 1 million of those players paid for early access, and then it's hit past 6 million now in its launch week. It makes it,
That's
it brings us,
big
but it
number.
brings us back to Fallout, right? Think about, or not Fallout, sorry. Clearly it's on my mind. Halo. You mentioned this
Yeah.
earlier, right? You were
I was
like,
thinking the same thing.
do you do this when Forza's doing this well? Is the
Mhm.
audience so different for both these games that it doesn't matter if you launch them on top of each other? That's going to also be really telling. So what do you think of Forza Horizon doing 6 million? Someone in chat saying 7 million now. It's doing gangbusters numbers regardless. Did you expect this level of success from this game?
No, I really didn't, and I think it's sort of like I don't want to be like mean, but I almost see it's as like low key a fad,
Mm.
because and this is just me. I loved Horizon 5. It was a great game. I gave it a 9. Um, but it still felt more like what we're used to with the series, which wasn't a bad thing, by the way. But to me, that's like, okay, so now people are trying it for the first time who haven't really played Horizon before, right? That's sort of my takeaway from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think like if they release Infinite on the 15th, those numbers are going down. I just think that's inevitable. But I could be wrong. I'd love to be
I
wrong.
think that's a
But
very
what I
realistic
want to
take.
know, what I want to know is how many of those people are on PC and how many of them are on Xbox. I don't know why. I just think that would be
Yeah.
interesting to see because if we see how much of them are on Xbox, that can sort of help us figure out like how many of them are going to be going to Halo.
Mm.
Because I don't know if Halo releases for on the 15th, do you think it'll be an Xbox exclusive until it officially releases? Like, will it
Oh,
be
you're
on
talking about
PC?
PC as well. That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
I don't know. Because PC Game Pass or Ultimate extends to PC.
Yeah.
Xbox Game Pass extends to PC.
Right.
So are we?
I think it'll
yeah,
be both platforms. Yeah, for sure. It's a good question to
yeah,
ask, though.
yeah.
Yeah, I think those player counts will definitely flatten a little bit. But right now, I'm thrilled to see the game doing really well because I certainly didn't expect it. I mean, here's the thing, though, is I put my foot in my mouth entirely on it. Is a lot of people were really talking to me about Forza Horizon's huge, Matt. It's huge. It's a big game. And I kind of, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a big game. Like, I gave it to Roses. I was like, yeah, it's a big series. But this big? I think it speaks to also the desire for like good open world or good racing games. Remember when you and I were growing up, Paul, we had Need for Speed, we had Burnout, we had all these different racing games. Of course, we still had Forza Motorsport back then and eventually Horizon, but we had on the 360, someone in the chat can correct me, but I think it was like Fuel is what it was. It was like a post-apocalyptic open world racing game. I really dug that one. There was Stuntman. There were so many racing games, and then they just sort of fell off. And I think Forza got into a little bit of a rhythm.
A lull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and whether people want to admit that or not, it's fine. I think it just got into a little bit of a rhythm. It doesn't mean it's bad. It got a little bit comfortable. You had Gran Turismo, which takes forever. Polyphony takes forever to make their games. So that wasn't coming out a lot. And you'd have the occasional remaster, the occasional kart racer. Like there was a huge void there when you really look at it. And I think that's why with the accessibility through Game Pass and the amount of people who are hungry for it, it's a weird thing where you and I are usually on the cusp of like when we are with Halo Infinite, like, oh, this is going to do well. Like we know when it's going to do well. I think this surprised even enthusiasts because there were so many people hotly anticipating this.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting it. And I think like another thing about it is the fact that like Xbox fans are just hungry. They're starving. I think that sort of plays into it. Like they're really hungry. And I mean it's an easy buy-in. Game Pass. Boom, you got the game. That's it. I saw people I saw a lot of people even like buying to get early access and I'm like are these all these people are excited for Forza? I was so surprised by it. I really, I genuinely, I think, before the game came out, it had over 800,000 players. I think the number I saw was, which is just insane.
Yeah,
I was not expecting 800,000 pre-orders, but yeah, no. People have had the Series X most people have been getting it or whatever. And it's like they must be hungry to play some exclusives. That's all. That's my take.
No, that's a really good point. I think there is a hunger from Xbox fans just to play something, and they've been getting stuff, but I mean, get something of their own from a first party because you're not going to see this for like Age of Empires, for example. But like, get something kind of that's a known quantity too. Like it's going to be quality.
Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what's going on with Forza Horizon. Not much more to add other than a congratulations to Playground Games. And we move on to our last bit of news, which we touched on a little bit through the Super Chat, but GTA Definitive Edition is a complete mess on PC and Switch. There's been articles all over the place being posted about this, one of which is from Eurogamer, which states that Rockstar has pulled GTA, the Trilogy, Definitive Edition from its for being available for sale on PC. It also was, by the way, launched exclusively on the Rockstar Games launcher, and so the significant issues have crippled it so much that you can't play it there. You can't play it anywhere on PC. And then you've got the Switch version, which has a horrible, horrible performance problem. Frame rate dips, all that good stuff. This report comes from Video Game Chronicles, which says, terrible performance cripples what should have been a great collection on Nintendo's platform. It's a disappointment, all that good stuff. So this game's not looking too hot, and I know this has been a mostly Xbox themed show, but I just got to shout them out because one of the things that I said with Game Pass, day one Game Pass stuff, is that Xbox needs to check the quality of these games. And the one game that wasn't really super broken was San Andreas, which is the one they got day one. And that was a smart move by them because they avoided the whole trilogy. They just picked one out of the bunch, and it was the right one, it seems. But there's been also complaints on some changes visually that some characters are looking a little bit more ridiculous. So what are you thinking about what's going on here with Rockstar GTA Definitive Edition? Again, I know we talked about this a little bit, but just to refresh.
My favorite quote, I think, I don't know who it was by, but I saw it. It was by a game journalist, and they were saying that some of the characters that aren't main characters are melting in the San Andreas sun, which I thought was hilarious. And it really does look like that. I'm personally a fan of the new graphics. Yeah, it really does. But I think overall the new graphics are good. It's a different art direction for sure. But yeah, some of these character models are just not. They're not it.
Have you seen Rain in this game?
Yeah, it looks horrendous. It's like white strips, like someone's shredding paper above the screen. It's insane.
Yes, it really does look like that. Bad. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm so surprised they're actually selling it. Rockstar is known for their quality. That's why I was very shocked.
That's why
it just seemed like an easy slam dunk. Right? No, it's not. But I just thought with their involvement, right? I thought with their involvement, it would be one of those things where they would just sort of
Todd Howard position up there.
Of course. Yeah, but I hope that they fix this quickly. But seeing it taken down for sale as well, that's the other thing, man. Like we haven't seen that since like Cyberpunk.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind was Cyberpunk. Like that just got ripped from the store. Actually, no, Sony themselves took it from the store, which is
Yeah.
even bigger. But no, the fact that I guess Rockstar did it themselves. They're probably not happy right now. This is bad look for them, and it's weird because Rockstar doesn't get that many bad looks at all.
No.
So
No. Take-Two does, and GTA Online does, but not
well,
Rockstar.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's
GT,
just
but GTA Online does well. You know what I mean? Like they don't have like these launches.
yeah. Yeah, I do think Rockstar used to be guilty of getting the free pass. I remember when GTA Online came out, like I was really screaming from the rooftops, like, why is no one upset about this? Because Rockstar, I remember that the GTA Online was so broken at launch. It was so broken. Obviously now it's like, who cares? But it was so broken for a while. Like there were server issues. Nothing was functioning properly. People were like, oh, it's Rockstar. Who cares? And so it's really interesting now to see people like really treating them how I think they should be treated. Like they make amazing open world games, but they are certainly not immune to issues. But you would expect a remaster from them to be of a high quality, even if they're not the ones directly working on it. I was hoping for something a little bit better here, but I'm so glad I didn't buy in. That's all I'm saying. Like I was thinking to myself, do I want to play this? Am I interested in this? I was like, no, not really. I've never been a big GTA fan when I really look at it. I played 5. I played San Andreas a lot growing up. That was really it. I wasn't into 4. I never played 3 or Vice City. I have Chinatown Wars on my PSP. Like sadly, GTA games never grabbed me like Red Dead did. And even Red Dead didn't really work. I'm a bully guy, man.
Yeah, you didn't. You weren't a fan of Red Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one thing that weirds me out about you, Matt. The fact that you can't sit down and enjoy Red Dead Redemption. But to each their own.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about that astral chain, huh?
Yeah. No, I really like Rockstar, but I haven't played San Andreas or 3 or Vice City. I mean, I did was like a little because my dad played them. But a big fan of 4, big fan of 5, and Red Dead 2. So yeah, this is kind of disappointing as someone who did want to go back. I wasn't going to get it at launch. I was going to wait till I guess like December or next year, but not looking good. Although I guess it is good, kind of good for me because now I'm waiting. So I might not suffer from those problems because they're going to fix it. If they pulled it from the store, they're going to put it back.
Yeah, they're going to want to eventually sell it. So we will see that, or they'll just say, fuck it, relist it and go, okay, we got ourselves a broken launch. But that's all there is to that. That's the news for the week, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed. And now we have a lot of patron questions to go through. So we're at about the 2-hour mark here. Would you want to just go through all the write-ins, no call-ins to end the show? Do we have a lot in our waiting room right now?
Yeah, I feel like that's a good. Well, we have 4 people in there. I'll leave it up to you because we have a lot of patron questions, but we're 2 hours in.
Yeah, it's because
it's already a longer show. We had a lot of news.
Yeah, it's already pretty deep.
I'll let you decide.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, man, we got some new names in there too. That's what sucks. I'm gonna say though, we're gonna have to be smart here, and we're gonna have to just say let's do the write-ins because I do want to make it fair. And then next week we'll prioritize call-ins, but I do want to make it fair for those who have written in because we did get a substantial amount of them. So I think we should reward those who have invested that time as well.
I agree.
All right, so let's do write-ins. Let's get it started with Gothic Hello Kitty. Hello, nerdy peas and a podcasters. So I'm not sure I'm familiar with Kopi's stance on trophies and achievements, but I do know Maddie's. I'm curious as to what you guys think about Steam's achievement systems. If you're unaware, it's in addition to getting achievements regularly, you can also receive trading cards. With these trading cards, there are holographic ones, standard ones, which you can break down into gems, which you can use to get more booster packs with. If you get all the cards for a game, you can get a badge on your Steam profile, sell the packs on the Steam Marketplace, or trade them for items in the Steam Marketplace, as well as trade cards with friends who have the cards you need. Also, each purchase made through Steam gives points, which can be used on profile backgrounds, profile animations, stickers, showcases, etc. What are your thoughts on these systems, and what about them do or don't appeal to you? So this is more so for you, of course, what you feel about achievements and trophies in general, but you can get this one started.
So it's weird because I'm very weird about this because I don't care about achievements on Xbox. I like the sound effect that pops up, but I don't go out of my way to collect them. But something about platinums, just platinum trophies on PlayStation, just having that goal, like okay, I'm gonna get a platinum trophy for this, and then having the platinum trophy counter on your account, I think that's something that really draws me into it. But as for Steam, I don't ever go out of my way to get Steam
Yeah.
trophies at all. But I do like the profile system they have there. Mine's kind of goofed up with anime girls, just kind of as a half joke, as Matt would know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, no, I've
Steam is
never
just
really cared for it. But
mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're
One
lagging up
thing
a
I'll say
fucking
though is
storm
I'm
here, I
glad.
think. So it's like we're just gonna keep talking over
No,
each other
I
for like
think
the
that.
last hour or so here.
Oh God, I think that's me. I apologize.
No, you're good.
Um,
Go for it.
but what I was gonna say was, I do like that these systems are there because on the Switch you don't have achievements or anything, and it bothers me. And
Mm.
even if I don't go over them, it just bothers me.
Yeah, I'm the same way where Steam, I don't care. I don't really go for them. There's no sound effect. It's just a pop up. It's just kind of there. So I'm not really interested in them. It's really just trophies. Achievements are nice, but trophies are great for the exact same reason Paul said, which is I love the platinum trophy counter. But yeah, as for the whole trading card thing too, I'm just not into it. It's just too much micromanaging. I don't want to or have an interest in any of that. So for me personally, I just kind of play when I'm on PC, which is pretty rare in the first place too. I don't really game on my
Right.
PC all that often. All right, we got a new write in
Good
here
question, man.
from Peebus the Wise. This one's for me, Maddie. That is it. My curiosity has gotten the better of me, and I cannot handle it anymore. Week in and week out, I watch your videos and constantly get mind fucked by the layout of your office. During your podcast, you're at what seems to be a U-shaped desk, and the black shelves look like they're far away against the back wall. Sometimes they're directly behind you, sometimes they are off to one side. But then in your news updates, it seems like either you are moving your entire desk and the setup to the middle of the damn room and sitting closer to the shelves, or the entire room somehow shrinks and you have control over this fucking retractable living room in an RV/camper. What is the deal? How do those shelves end up so close to you? Is this an illusion or perspective? Or are you moving your camera around for every video? Is your desk on wheels? What about those cords plugged in your computer and monitor? Is your office actually just enchanted? Spill the beans, bud. All right, so I have this cool chair here that's got wheels. I roll it around. And so I will plant the chair right in front of there. You can see the tripod if you're watching the video version. Tripod's right here. Tripod is planted right in the heart of this here office. I shut off the lights. I turn on my hue lights. I turn on the back lights for the shelf there. And I record in front of that. And then when I do podcasts, I have a webcam here. So I just wheel up and sit here. And this microphone, this is probably the tricky part for you. This wooden thing, this ugly piece of wood, it's actually on wheels. So as you can see,
Oh wow.
yeah, really makeshift design by me. It's just this entertainment center that has wheels. It's got some shelves below it, which I have nothing on. But what I do is, I'm not going to do it now so it doesn't make noise, but I will wheel that over by the black bookshelf or bookcase, whatever it is, and then rotate this microphone where it needs to be, and I'll record my videos. And I just rotate the setups constantly. So that is how I indeed transform my room per content. This is my general video area. This is the podcast zone here in front of the computer. And it's nice and easy. So thank you for asking. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry for the confusion.
yeah. It's funny because they see, at least on the podcast, we're inverted for them. Like
Oh,
the
true.
cameras are inverted. Like when I look at you on Discord, it's different from how we look on the podcast. So it is kind of confusing. Like your room is like does look a little weird. Do you have a U desk?
Yeah. Yeah. I have
Like a
an
big like
yeah.
college.
Nice
That
little
must be nice.
executive.
I have a nice like L, but
Mm,
it's very small, and I don't have space because I have my PS5, my Xbox, my PC, both monitors, my Switch, speakers,
yeah.
controllers, all shit is on here, and it just takes up so much space.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had an L desk in my bedroom. I still have one there, but I upgraded it. I've learned though, because I got this originally, this whole U
Mhm.
desk, because I was all about space and size. And what I've learned is as I get more space, I fill things up a little bit more. So I'm trying to learn to shrink things down. This is the biggest I'll ever go, this desk here. But it's got a ton of drawers, a ton of leg room here. It's really nice, but it's something I've learned about myself as I've upgraded desks over the year. All right. We've got Golden Goose up next. Hey, Ham Boys, hope all is well in your neck of the woods. Sorry I haven't called in or written in a while. My job is keeping me busy. No need to apologize. I'd like to know, should I wait on the remake of KOTOR or should I play the Switch port? I tried playing the original Xbox version earlier this year and had a lot of fun, but due to the lack of an autosave, I lost 2 hours of gameplay just because I opened the wrong door and got shot. I know it's something that's pretty normal in older RPGs if you don't save a lot, but it really frustrates me. Thanks for the opinions and making amazing content. P.S. Both of your Forza reviews were great. Very good insight. Thank you. Paul, I want to dish it to you because obviously I'm biased, so I'm sure your feedback will be much more appreciated.
Just go back into it. I find that like in games when you lose progress that's substantial, it doesn't take you 2 hours to go through it again because you already know what to expect. You already know what your answers are going to be in like dialogue and stuff, and you can rush, like you can speed run if you will, because you're not missing out on anything because you already played it. So go back into it, and those 2 hours will probably end up being 1.5, maybe one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just let you know that the Switch port doesn't update any of that. I actually lost some progress because where was I? Oh, man. I think I was... Oh, yeah, I was fighting in the arena, and I was just speed running. Like, I don't listen to any of the dialogue anymore. I could fucking read it off the back of my hand. Like, I just have it all memorized, so I'm just like, fighting everyone. I did a quest real quick. I came back. I fight Bendak Starkiller, and I had a level up stashed. And what I do is sometimes stash my level ups so I can heal real quick mid-combat. Like, I'll pause the game, level up, it'll refresh all my stats. I'm like, okay, cool, we're good. Yeah, I'll cheese the game a little bit. I cheese a game I've played like a million times, I know. And what I'll do is that, and what happened was I was about to die, so I was like, okay, let's pause the game, but I didn't press pause quick enough, and I died, and I remember dropping my Switch and grabbing my head and going, oh my God, I just lost so much fucking progress. But now I'm a maniac. I could not just go to sleep. I was like, I got to go back. I got to go back and redo this all. And so, yeah.
Last night?
This was, this was 3 nights ago. I lost about an hour or so of progress. But like you said, that was cut down to about 40 minutes now, which isn't that bad, but I was already kind of speed running it. So I guess like the dilly-dallying and menus and stuff, you trim all that out and finding where I wanted to go and figuring that out. It was all done. I was like, okay, go. So just know that those issues are fixed. But the pick up and play option of the Switch is great to have. So I would recommend it as well. It's a good port. All right. I have to burp. Pardon me.
Matt, you can read this question. I'm going to go I have food outside my door.
Sure.
I'm starving.
Yeah, no, go for it, man.
I told you
go for it. All right. We got Dave Portnov here. Dave, I got to ask, man. I should call you David Portnoy. That's what you wrote here. But your name is dangerously close to Dave Portnoy. I just want to know if you ever get that. You've got to have gotten that before. But I'm just wondering if that's ever occurred. And funny enough, because I think they do pizza reviews at Barstool. Hi, Maddie and Kopi. I've got a simple question. How do you feel about pizza crust? Eat it or leave it?
Eat it. You have to eat it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you entirely.
The only thing about it, when I don't eat it is when they don't do anything special to it. Like, because when they spread like buttery garlic on that crust, you got to eat it. When it's stuffed with cheese, you got to eat it. But if it's just crust and there's nothing there, you're wasting space that can be good pizza in your stomach. And the crust takes up a lot of space in your stomach.
Yeah, it's easy to eat. Like, here's the thing. I don't consider that you've ate a slice of pizza unless you've ate the cheese and the crust, right?
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. You can say you've eaten a slice of pizza, but you can chew down like 4, 5 slices of pizza when you munch down the cheese and you leave the crust. But the crust is what fills you. Where it would actually you probably have 2 or 3 realistically. But a lot of people up their pizza intake and act like they're a beast, like they almost had a whole pie. It's like you didn't. You didn't until you eat that whole crust. But I, on the other hand, as a privileged-ass New Yorker, I enjoy a little bit of pizza crust no matter what because it's nice, it's crispy, and it tastes very good. Not too doughy.
What's the best pizza you've had? Just out of curiosity. That people might know about because I'm curious.
Yeah, I think the best general pizza that people would know about is City Pizza. Just getting like a nice brick oven slice of City Pizza. Of course, part of it is the ambiance. You walk out of the store, you just spent $1. You have a big paper plate in your hand. You're like, dude, how is this $1? This should be illegal. But there is when you go to the right places and you get like the thin crust and it's nice
Oh, God.
yeah, it's nice and crisped over. And especially if you get like cheese that hasn't been laid down too
Slapped
thick.
on there.
Yeah, it's like a little more stretchy. Nothing like it, man. Fold it in half, take a bite. That'd be my favorite. One of my other favorites was from Boston. I talk about the place all the time. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it was a place that had a shower curtain for a door. It was recommended to us by a Boston cop where we were asking for directions on where to eat. He recommended that. We walked there for like an hour. We find this place, and we were like, "There's no way this is worth it," especially the shower curtain for the door. But it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was very, very good. And we'll go there for PAX. It was very, very good.
Yeah. The best pizza I've had was in Canada, in Winnipeg.
L.
My girlfriend and I.
L.
Shut up. Just shut up. It was good. It's just, this place called Little Pizza Heaven. It was great. It was really good. All right. I don't want to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. I'll be the judge.
But besides that, for people who don't, you're never gonna have it.
Yeah, true.
For people who don't won't know that, my favorite like chain pizza. That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe like Domino's. That's so
Pizza
generic,
Hut.
but I do.
Pizza
No,
fucking
no.
Hut. Let's go.
It's so oily and gross. No, Pizza Hut's fucking ass, and you know it. You won't accept it. It's disgusting.
We may have
It's
found our new food
oily.
debate.
Papa John's is good. I like Papa John's. I
Papa
don't know if you've
John's
had
is
Papa-
very. How do I define it? Their sauce tastes like a condiment that I would buy off a store shelf.
I don't use sauce. I just eat the pizza, man. So I
No,
like
I'm
pizza.
saying this the sauce beneath the cheese. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I disagree. I don't think that.
It's not
That's how I feel.
awful, but
That's how I feel about Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut is so oily.
no,
Like
it's not.
they pour oil on their pizza after. You know
No,
they do. It's,
no, Pizza Hut is fucking good, man. I don't care. The chat will rebel once more, but Pizza Hut is very good. Domino's is ass. Shout out to my
No,
my
Domino's
$20 box.
is way better.
Shout out to my $20 box. Look it up. Best value in food right now.
Dude, 2 Domino's pizzas. You go and pick them up. $10. 2 medium pizzas, maybe $11 if you don't deliver it. Delicious, filling. The crust is good and crispy. It's just great. Pizza Hut is ass.
Okay, look, Pizza Hut, you can get 2 medium 1-topping pizzas, 5 breadsticks, wings or pasta of your choice in the big dinner box is what it's called now. It's so good. I'm telling you, try it. It's so good. I think it's
We're gonna do
legitimately
it at
delicious.
We're gonna have a pizza night at PAX because Soul talked about this.
I know.
But
Yeah.
John Awaken said in the chat, Pizza Hut is the McDonald's of pizza. I agree, 100%. Matt, you can go to McDonald's and get a shit ton of food, but is it good?
No,
Not really.
and I agree with you entirely. That's a very extremely true. But what's happening here is we have legitimately good food that you're getting in a large quantity for the right price tag.
Good food. Okay, dude.
It is good.
Right.
How much is it now? Let's see the big dinner box because it used to be called the $20 box. Start your order today. Let's see here.
Matt's about to have a $20 box after this podcast posted on Twitter just to prove something.
Let's see. I don't know why it's not showing the price. I don't like that. It's not showing the price. I don't know, but shout out to $20 box. Shit is so good. Yeah, because it's value you can eat. That's what it is. It's value you can eat. All right. Before I snap Kopi's neck, let's move into pen and pants question here. What up, Pam? How much money would you be willing to spend on a collector's edition, includes the game too, of any franchise of your choice? For me, I would definitely shell out at least $200 on a collector's edition of KOTOR Remake if they do one. Keep up the great work and try out some Crocs. They have lined Crocs for the winter, you know. I'm definitely not doing that.
Oh. Lined Crocs. What even is that? I gotta look that up. You can answer the question while I'm looking this up.
Enjoy. All right, so I've made the mistake of overpaying for a collector's edition. I think the highest I'll probably go is $250 because I went up to 300 or $350 for Final Fantasy 15. It came with the Noctis Play Arts figure, the Steelbook. It came with like a huge art book. It came with a lot of stuff, but that was where I learned I let my hype get a little too carried away, and I overpaid for a game that I was like, this is good, and I loved it at launch, but as I got further from it, I was like, this sucked. I did not like Final Fantasy 15 at all. I did not think it was that great, but the combat really, the characters and the story is like kind of endearing,
I love the music.
and the
music
music's
is so
good, but like the open world activities, the combat is just it's so bad, man. It's so bad. I really encourage people to try it again if they got the time. But I made the mistake of overpaying. I would probably 250 max, and it would if
That's
I'm
what I
hitting
was gonna
that
say.
max,
250 is fine.
it's got to be something like I'm
Like
really
Persona
keen on.
6, 250.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's as far as I'll go.
yeah. Persona
Maybe
6,
300.
KOTOR.
I think 300 is a good way to round it out. But what?
No, I heard you like burp, but it was so in the distance.
Dude, I was starving this
No,
whole time.
I normally I have like a no eating policy, but I totally get it. If you're going for almost a
Yeah.
3-hour show and you didn't eat beforehand because you were waiting for your food, that's you lasted
Yeah.
way longer than I would.
Matt, look up these lined Crocs just real quick. They look interesting. They look more comfortable than real socks. But it's basically in chat, Crocs with like I guess fur on the inside or whatever that texture, whatever it would be. Looks fuzzy.
Why does
It's very off-putting.
Why does this thing have 52K ratings at 4.5 stars? There can't be this many people who actually think Crocs are that fucking good.
Nah, Croc lovers, get out. We don't want you in the podcast.
There's no way this many people actually like it. Those are paid for. There's no.
I don't believe it.
I will admit though, these seem a lot more functional than other Crocs I've seen,
Yeah,
which
they
are
look more
literal.
comfortable.
Yeah, like these look fine. I could accept Crocs if they were like this because there's something on the inside. Otherwise, you're standing on literal plastic.
Yeah, that's my take on it too. But at the same time, it's like I would love that fur in just or whatever it is inside any other shoe than a Croc.
Yeah, true.
I don't get Crocs.
It's
I don't get
a
it.
statement. It's a statement for some
Yeah,
people.
like, yeah, I like Crocs. What about it?
Yeah, right.
You know,
You're
like-
challenging someone when you wear them. Like that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want me to say something to you. That's what's happening. Like, but here's the thing. And actually, someone actually just throw it in chat, so that's hilarious. He says, "Adamant movies." I want to shout him out. Honestly, Croc lovers are better than weebs. And that's the thing. I could see Croc lovers being the new weebs. I remember when I watched anime in high school and in early college, it was the weird kid thing to do, but you did it anyway. I feel like Crocs could be the up and coming thing, or at least they're desperately trying to reach that status. We'll see if that actually occurs, but I think that's a good comparison there, even though you're trying to insult me.
No, I get it. I can understand the Croc army coming up, but as Dustin would say, Croc fans, stand down.
Yeah, stand down.
We don't want it. We don't want it.
Okay, we got Forged Horizon up next. He is not calling in. He says, unsure whether or not I'm going to make it to Ham Live today for a call-in. Hot take. Star Citizen just released a new, pretty massive game-changing patch 2 days ago, and I'm thoroughly addicted again. So in such a case, I will leave you with a proper question, a big shock. So, with y'all being weebs and gamers alike, though Matty doesn't seem quite as cultured as Kopi, my question for you two revolves around which anime/manga series y'all would love to see get a game adaptation / lends itself very well to a video game adaptation. And along with that, I want to know who would you want to have develop said game. My dream weeb game, though it's probably a bit out of date now, would be a Mass Effect style Gundam game set in a new universe. You get time between missions to walk around your ship and talk with your crew, building out relationships before going out to the field in either of your mechs or on missions exclusively dedicated to ground/combat and stealth with infiltrating enemy lines to gather intel before being able to call in your mobile suit mech for those who are uncultured in a way similar to Titanfall. Now, before BioWare went to shit, I would have said I wanted BioWare to develop it. But at this point, I'm not sure. Maybe Obsidian, but I don't think that's their strong suit. So instead, I'm going to go with the cop-out answer here and say Respawn. With their work on Titanfall, we know they can do ground and mech combat along with choosable dialogue options. Just not sure if they'd be able to give me multiple storylines and RPG elements as well. But there is a good dev, so I would choose them. And after that cluster of a paragraph, I'm now excited to hear your answers. And also, no giving any franchises that already have games or said type made like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Demon Slayer fighting games, Attack on Titan action game, or Sword Art Online RPG. Those already exist. Thanks, and have a hammy cool day. Quite the write in here. Paul, apparently you're more cultured than me, so shall I dish this to you first?
No, I want to hear yours because I already have mine in mind, but I want to hear what I immediately just want to know what amazing anime you've got lined up here.
I was thinking a really cool idea would be almost a horror Promised Neverland game from the first season.
I knew it.
I love
it,
Promise
dude.
Neverland.
I knew it.
I knew it, bro. Or you knew it. Yeah, but you
Yeah,
know what?
I knew it.
Dude, I'm just telling you, that first season, the way they created tension with the camera angles, the way they would hide behind bookshelves and stuff, and as you were getting like creeped around by Mama and the I forgot the name of the maid, but as they're kind of creeping around following you, I could see a really cool stealth game being there. But it would have to be like a condensed stealth game. I'm talking like 3-4 hours of just like focusing on how to escape. And that could be it. It was just about escaping, getting to the other side and finding tools around the school and building it up day after day. I think that would actually be a really fun game idea. It'd be different, that's for sure, and it probably wouldn't sell a lot, but that's my pick right off the top of my dome. Do I pass the test, though?
Okay. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I knew you were going to pick that. Also, my internet's just been horrible this show, so I apologize to everybody in the call and Matt to you.
No, you're good.
But my game, nobody knows this. Madoka Magica. Okay, anybody in chat know Madoka Magica? If you do, turn-based RPG. Now, as for developer, Atlas, because that's like the number one that comes to mind for turn-based RPG games, JRPG games. And Madoka Magica is like, it's a magical girl show, but it's like really dark and it gets really good. And each magical girl has different powers and stuff. And they have a mobile game, which was like a gacha styled game that was kind of good. But no, I would love to see a turn-based RPG around Madoka Magica. Anybody in chat, someone said Madoka. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's like I wouldn't say it's underrated, but I don't think it's like its audience is, I'd say, mostly girls, even though it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
God, man, it's such a good anime. Puella Magi Madoka Magica. Yeah, that's like the official name of it. But that as a turn-based RPG.
Interesting. I know nothing about it, so it's not like I don't want to comment on it. I just don't know what it could add on it. I literally know nothing about it.
I knew like no one really knows. I've never, when I meet people, usually they don't know about it, even if they watch a lot of anime. But just like it's really good. So that'd be one that I definitely want to see.
I realized I didn't pick a developer. I would definitely do the Alien isolation devs for my stealth Promise Neverland game. I think that'd be interesting.
Dude, Josh Anderson came out with my second answer, which would be Evangelion Atlas, like Persona. You haven't seen Evangelion either.
I've heard the music though, and it's very Persona in a way, at least from what I heard.
So good. It's so good. But I'm gonna answer again. Cowboy Bebop, Obsidian.
I thought that was gonna be your answer because you always told me to watch it because you're like, dude, it's like KOTOR in how it's set up.
Yeah.
And I was like, interesting.
It's like KOTOR without Star Wars, if that makes sense. Like take out the Star Wars. Yeah, so that's my official answer besides Madoka. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but that's a big one.
Yeah, that's why I thought I knew your answer, and because you were like, I already got mine. Like I'm curious to hear yours. I was like, okay, he's gonna do Cowboy Bebop. So your answer surprised me in the first place. I'm trying to think of any other anime I've seen. I would love to see like an Akame ga Kill action RPG as well. That was a good show. That had, I thought that, or like a Dishonored style Akame ga Kill game, because it's always about like picking targets and taking them out. So it'd be interesting to see how they handle that, but I don't think that would work all that well. So those are the answers I got.
Daily Lade said you still haven't seen Bebop. Yeah, he hasn't.
No,
he hasn't. Matt cannot commit to anime. He can only commit to video games. It's a big problem.
At least I don't wear Crocs.
Yeah, that's true.
And look, I'm clearly not troubled because I like Pizza Hut. So again, like I'm winning in other aspects of life. I may not have seen Cowboy Bebop, but I'm eating good pizza.
If we do a live ham radio at Axe, we're gonna do a pizza taste test because Pizza Hut is ass. I'm sorry, just a fact. I don't know if you live by like the god of all Pizza Huts, but my Pizza Hut and the ones I've had, dog shit. Terrible pizza. I'm
so excited because I already got my scapegoat planned out. If it's not that good, look, this one in Boston's just botched. That's all there is to it.
It's like you had your scapegoat planned for the soda ice drink thing. I get it, man.
I got my exit planned at all times. I never lose.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the Grimblade. Not a question, more a follow-up. This one's fucking wild. When I was copying and pasting, I'm like, oh my God. Apparently, this public bathroom at my college is popular amongst public masturbators. I wonder if it's the same guy or if there's like a group of them. On a more serious note, there's been a lot of talk about how Elden Ring is the culmination of the Souls formula. Surely there are additional advances that can be made, but it got me thinking, does a game's formula ever become perfected? Will 2D Mario ever make any more meaningful advances, for example? So shout out to the public masturbators, just really disrupting Grimblade's college experience here. But
disrupting the show.
Yeah.
That was another thing. Someone else talked about that.
Yeah.
A lot of weird bathroom stories coming out of Ham Radio Live.
Yeah. Certainly that's my fault, though. I've shared my
Sean Mason had one too, right?
Yeah.
With the kid running around. And,
yeah. This is our doing. So we apologize for that. But Paul, I guess only I can talk on this now that I really look at it. But I'm sure you could offer a thought on the idea of game formulas being perfected.
I
just more so meant the Elden Ring part.
Well, you go with it. Go ahead, since you wanted to take the lead and silence me. You can get on your soapbox. Okay.
I gotta get out ahead of Paul. Yeah. So with Souls and in Elden Ring, it's really hard to say if it's been perfected yet, but at least from the outside looking in right now and getting a couple of hours into it, there's an element from each game that really does suggest the idea that years of iteration can fine-tune something. But the question is, let's say the open world is, I'm trying to think what would fight against it. Like, it's not fun to explore. Did they go too wide instead of not deep enough? There were those questions there, but I think the refinement of the formula really stands strong in the case of Souls, where they started off with a simple linear with leveling up, and they built to more interconnected levels, and then they expanded with new worlds, and then they did deflections with Sekiro, and they added in sprinting and jumping, and they've taken these steps forward. And the way they kind of did that was by stripping out fundamentals. So it's really interesting to see, like, this could be the perfection of a formula in the case of Elden Ring, because now you've got the video game fundamentals of, like, jump, roll, run, those things that were typically never really, most of them were, but like jumping, riding on a horse, climbing, all this stuff was not a part. Yeah, open world. None of this was a part of FromSoft's design from the get-go. It was always a lot more condensed. So I think there's an argument there, but speaking more broadly, I want to dish it to you. Do you think that a game's formula can ever be perfected, and do you have any ideas in mind?
Yeah, I think what happens is you get a perfection, if you will, that is sort of a subjective way of looking at it, because when not even just with games, like with movies, there's always that perfect, that like the Empire Strikes Back of whatever it is, where nothing will ever, no matter how hard they work for it, will ever amount to that, not objectively but subjectively, because people have those strong memories attached. With that in mind, I do think there's always room for innovation and change with games, and I don't think any series can truly be dead, if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers Grimm's question, but I do think that I don't think like games will reach an entropic end where like there's nothing left for people, like there's no innovation to be had. I think there's always room to grow and change.
Yeah, that's really, really well thought out, because I guess as the industry collectively moves forward, like when we entered the era of open worlds, you take a line of video game series and wonder, like, how does X apply to Y? And so whatever the next iteration of that is, we're talking about like cloud-based development. How does cloud-based development impact From Software? What are they capable of doing with that next step? And streaming software, live service elements. Like, as we all collectively introduce new things into video games, that bar continues to raise. So I don't know if it can, as you sort of said, can be perfected, but more so because there will always be room for a new thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's like remember, people were talking about graphics and like how good can graphics really get, and I was sort of in that same mindset. Like, there's only a certain point where it just looks realistic, but we still see that being upped even more and more with different art styles.
Yeah,
I even think that lends credence to sound design and things like that. There's always something, room to grow. Nothing will ever be perfected, especially in games. And I like that, because it means there's always something for us to play, talk about, or whatever.
Absolutely. We got 2 super chats. One I missed earlier, so I apologize to Jeff Garcia. who wrote in, off topic, but why is no one talking about the gunk? This was actually selected as a Game Pass title I think it's coming out December 16th. It's coming out day one. So I'm wondering if that could actually, in a subtle way, play into why they're releasing Halo early. Because that game releasing in December, it's going to get swamped. Like, I don't know who's going to play it, but everyone's going to be talking about Halo, and that game should probably just delay out of it. Sorry, say it again.
Was this announced today, like coming to Game Pass?
It's a couple days ago. I mean, it was announced a while ago it was coming to Game Pass, but it was not. It just, everyone knew it was coming December, and now they put a date on it.
Right now, there's a date on it. Okay. I've never even heard of it, so.
It's got a horrible name.
Yeah, when he said that, I thought he was talking about like something like on our screens or something, like the gunk. Like, I was like, what?
Yeah, Seaman the video game. We got Wiveborn, who super chat saying, first time watching Ham Radio live, and I have to say, I love the new format. Thank you. We do appreciate that indeed.
Wiveborn, I love your profile picture. Nia fans, love to see it.
What's Nia from?
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh, God, Wiveborn.
Yeah.
Wiveborn, you're banned. You're banned. And I did miss one from Hargeet Shani, who super chatted for the second time this episode, so thank you so much for that. Phil could Phil override and have Obsidian or inXile work on a Fallout game, assuming those studios want to. Does an Xbox own the IP now? We did suggest that idea, right? That Xbox could just kind of put their what's on the table and say, get the fucking work.
Yeah. That's what I was hinting towards that, but I didn't say it out loud. I'm glad he picked up on it.
I think they could. I think they could, but I don't know if they ever will, because that breeds bad blood, right? Like we've seen Activision and Bungie, I think, is a good example of like, oh, together forever, 10-year plan, and then how when that sours and you exert too much over them, that they'll try to get out, and they will get out.
Yeah. Oh, and it's not even just trying to get out. Like that relation just creates like friction and it can impact the game. Like you can see it when you play. So no, I don't think that'll ever happen. But I think Todd knows that like just the fact that it could is enough for him to be like, yeah, maybe we'll see a game. Because I almost feel as if he would be reprimanded if he came out and said that. Like, hey, Todd, that's not true. Because that could happen.
That's true. He's got someone to answer to at this point.
Yeah, Papa Phil.
Yeah, at least to some extent, right? Like, I don't think they have this full hawk-like ownership of them where they're, like, really bearing down on them, but I think there's something there where he has to be a little more selective, because the way he's been conducting interviews, a little different, in a good way. He's been talkative, but he's been a little bit more PR trained, I think.
It's like Big Brother's on Todd's shoulder.
He's being watched. We got another one from Brandon Cavallero. Do you guys have any gaming mechanic pet peeves? Mine is weapons breaking. Don't really see the point of it. I don't like when you can't jump.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I get that. I want to think about this one because I don't. I have like a bunch, but that weapons breaking, that's one I don't really like because it just sort of brings me out of it. Like, now you got to fix your weapon and stuff. Although in Fallout, I kind of like it because it lends to your repair skill.
Yeah. In Fallout, it works as very specific to that universe. Like, I feel it makes sense that you're in a post-apocalyptic world. If nothing broke, then why is it post-apocalyptic? That's how at least I look at it. But jumping for me, it's just being glued to the ground. It's like I don't always have to be in the air, but being legit glued to the ground, that are invisible walls. Oh my God. Like noticeable invisible walls that just stop you constantly. Like there was no care to like maybe create a little mountainside or something that says like, yeah, you can't go here because look, there's a mountain. It's like, no, your wall is here. You just can't see it. You're not going there because game dev says so.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd say invisible walls is one of my biggest ones. It's just so like annoying to come across. I would rather just glitch out of the map and like be teleported back than hit an invisible wall. It's really frustrating.
Sorry, I'm clapping back on Dataloid right now.
Oh no, that's okay.
He brought up that Origins and Mass Effect are games you can't jump in, but they're some of my favorites, so I told him to stop. Ty Simmons is another super chat who says, "Hey guys, keep it up. Really enjoy you guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate the love, support, kindness, and
love and support on this. What is it, volume episode 8?
Yeah, episode 8.
I think people are really warming up to to the tap-ins.
It's definitely great to see.
Happy.
It's definitely great to see,
Yeah.
especially because this is really our most rough episode with like tech stuff for sure. So this will be a real test for the archived audience. That's all I'm gonna say.
I can't wait for the comments. This guy's fucking internet sucks.
Yeah, get him off the show.
Yeah.
Dustin had better internet. All right, Shive's up next. Hey there, guys. Hope you've had a great week. Early this week, I beat Vampire, and I can definitely see I'm very happy I went back and gave it one more try. That's awesome to hear. We were talking about that last week. Started the Outer Worlds, and it's a nice blend of Fallout, and it gives me a hint of Mass Effect vibes in a way. I downloaded KOTOR on my Switch last night, and I'm looking forward to diving into the story for the first time ever. So my question is there any game series that left you on a cliffhanger ending, and still to this day, you haven't been given a proper closure on the outcome of the story or the character's fates? For me, franchises are Half-Life, Dead Space, and Brothers in Arms. I got one that no one ever talks about, but it is a cliffhanger unlike any other. It is Darkness 2. That game ends on a legit, like, we'll see you soon type of cliffhanger, and no answers. And there will never be an answer for that game. I just know there's not. It was not popular enough. But the Darkness 2 is one of the most underrated FPS games. I love that game, but it cliffhangs you right at the end, and it sucks because it's like this gothic mafia tale. It's so good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really good. But it cliffhangs you. And it's really, really disappointing. So that's my answer for sure. What about you?
Mine, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but mine is Danganronpa V3. And I think
good pick.
You know why.
Yeah.
And anybody who's played it knows why. But it's a game where I just want to know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like there's a big open-ended thing at the end of the game, and it's really crazy what happens. It's very divisive.
Yeah.
Some people love it, some people hate it. I don't know where I sit, but I want to know like what goes on after that. But I don't know if we ever will.
Yeah, it's been 4 years. I don't know if we'll ever get a new Danganronpa.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a good way to answer it. And you know why? I'm not gonna spoil, but it's hard to talk about.
Yeah,
spoiling.
Kodako, when he wrote that, he knew what he was doing because he knew they weren't going to work on it afterwards. So he left it in a spot where you have a niche audience. And you got to follow up that niche audience with something better than V3, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And it's so open-ended that it's very tough to talk about without spoiling, but I don't know how they would ever do it. I don't know how, unless they reboot it, which then it's like, it's Danganronpa. Why the fuck are you rebooting Danganronpa? So
yeah, exactly.
Wait, what's this? Someone wrote in chat, you can read the Darkness comics and know where it goes. What? I actually might do that. How many are there? Let me know in chat. But that's exciting. I'm not even kidding. That cliffhanger is fucked with me. So
is it that bad? Wow.
It's because I liked the game a lot. Like it was a little hidden gem. I thought the first one was good. The second one was great, and they ended on a cliffhanger. And I thought, well, what's the answer? So comics, interesting. Ben Dover writes in, howdy Ham Squad, longtime listener, recent supporter, and first time writer here. Hey, shouts to you. Thank you. Matty, after catching a bit of your stream of Skyrim the other day and finally starting up a fresh, unmodded game of my own yesterday, I thought of something that I'd love to hear your thoughts and Kopi's thoughts on. After playing games like Witcher 3, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and modded Skyrim and Fallout for so long, I've grown so accustomed to armor sets that can be specially modified to fit one's playstyles. You know, changing the individual pieces that both alter the appearance and function of a specific piece. Heck, even just upgrading the tiers of armors like in The Witcher 3, where the pieces visually change, is something I've become spoiled with. Looking into the future of Bethesda games, especially Starfield, one thing I'd love to see is the modularity in armor and clothing. Fallout 4 had the right idea with the workbench on the weapons, but it would be nice to get armor/clothing and see that have the same treatment. Now for the question. What's one thing that each of you personally want to see built in an upcoming Bethesda game? It doesn't have to be something everyone else wants, but rather something you yourselves want. Gameplay features, quests, or storylines, the leveling system, world interactivity, and ways to approach things, or smarter NPCs, anything you could think of. Anyway, thanks guys. Love the show. P.S. Kopi, it's been awesome to have you join when things change to Ham Live. Hope you two have a just lay down in your bed but realize you forgot something and have to get back up kind of day.
Oh, that was a great tap-in until that last part. I don't want to have one of those days.
Oh, man. what do you want to see added in a Bethesda game? Pretty broad question, but you can go anywhere with that.
Yeah, there's like a ton of things you could throw. I mean, if we're looking at Starfield specifically, I want to see something involving the space exploration where it's not just fast travel to a new planet. I want to see like can we fly the
Would have been my answer. Yeah.
pilot the ship or whatever. Um, but Bethesda, like a more general answer that could apply to every Bethesda game. Huh.
It's tough because they do so much.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of things that they need to get better at are almost intangible, right? Like a little bit better writing, better gameplay is kind of obvious. It's very in your face that their gameplay isn't that great. Like I think Fallout 4 is probably their best playing game, and Fallout 4 isn't even that great of a first person shooter. So it's strange.
I'll say I would love to see, and I don't think you probably won't agree with this, and I don't think many people will, but I would love for the end game to change where you're not just this broken guy who has like everything unlocked, and to where it's more specialized. So playthroughs feel different, like in something like Divinity. Like by the end game, you're totally different from someone else's class. I would like to see that for Fallout and Skyrim and Starfield, but I don't know if it's easy or even possible because you pretty much just have like sets of weapons in those games, and there's not abilities as much. So I don't know, but that's something I would like to see. Make it go even harder in on the RPG class building, if you will.
Yeah, kind of following that up. I think for me, it's always been the level of choice in. I feel like they do a decent job with builds, although you do enter God tier levels by the end of the game. For me, it's really the choices and quests. You just don't see it anymore from them, and I think that's really sad. Like I love just taking a splitting path in a RPG, even if it's just very obvious, like good, bad. Like Mass Effect is very much good, bad, right? You have Paragon, you have Renegade. There's really no gray area, but it's fun. It's fun to make those choices because when you go Renegade, you're punching people, shooting people constantly. Like you're a piece of shit. There's no in between though. Yeah, punching journalists, love it. It's good stuff. But with Fallout and with Elder Scrolls and with Starfield, I just want to see them make more choices of any kind because they really. Fallout 76 tries to do it, and they kind of do. Like you can pick a faction at the end of Wastelanders, and there is, I put it in quotes, consequence of that. Like you have a different end game mission. But I would love to see Bethesda do that on a single player scale, to say the least. That would definitely be my pick.
Like the Obsidian scale we see with New Vegas, right? It's hard because this is the topic we talked about, but they tried to do it in 4, and it just didn't pan out.
Yeah, I was going to say that, right? They did try that. That was exactly what was going to come out of my mouth. But yeah. So we move it over to, let's see here, Natural Calamities.
Super chats.
We do have super chats. We do. Wow.
Yeah.
We have Brandon Cavallero. Is there a game that is super popular that you hate? Mine is Sekiro. I don't hate Sekiro, but I am in your wheelhouse here. And then shout out to Hargi Shani for becoming a member. We appreciate you. But I don't enjoy Sekiro as much as others. That is always my easy answer.
I know your answer immediately.
Oh, you do?
Actually, I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do. I know it would be one of your answers.
Okay.
But I'll let you go ahead.
I'm curious what you're picking for me.
No. Just I'll tell you after. I don't want to influence your decision here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A game that's popular. I'm thinking like Uncharted. I think Uncharted's pretty overrated to an extent. I'm not crazy about it. That's one of the first ones that comes to mind for me. There's games I wish I loved, like Genshin Impact's one that comes to mind that's like super popular, but I don't hate it. It just doesn't speak to me or grab me, but I want to like that game. Maybe one day.
I thought you were going to say Animal Crossing because you talk about how people love Animal Crossing.
That's just such a, it's funny. I didn't think of that because it's just so a part of me. It's not a thing that sticks out. Yeah. It's like, I just don't like it. Like that's my personality trait. It's like sarcastic, loves video games, hates Animal Crossing. Like it's just it's a thing that you'll see on a Tinder bio or some shit.
Dude, you'd get no swipes if you quit. I hate Animal Crossing.
You really wouldn't when you think about it.
Yeah. Man, that's so I don't really hate a lot of games because if I hate a game, I just stop playing it. And then at that point, I feel like I don't want to give my opinion on it. And usually when I don't like a game, I guess recently it'd be Tales of Arise because I don't know, it just wasn't grabbing me. the combat was. I thought the combat was like overrated. I think
Mm.
you and a few of our friends, I found it to be really overrated.
Mm.
Oh, I guess Fortnite. I don't know why, but I hate Fortnite. I hate it. I hate it. And it sucks because I can see it. I'm like, yeah, this is a good game because they definitely innovate in terms of like, oh, you can build in a battle royale.
Right.
But I just hate it. I hate that it's a media conglomerate. I hate that they try to do an MLK museum inside of it. That's just no. That's
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
It was just it was
Yeah. They tried,
I
man.
don't like Fortnite. I don't like Fortnite. I don't like the influence it's had on this generation. I could go on and on about Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fucking hate that game.
I get it. It's like more of the cultural level than the game level at a certain point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, now we move on to natural calamity. Hello, Hambonies. This week has been a wild ride as I'm getting my COVID booster and last week getting hurt at work. But Ham has always been there to bring a smile to my face. And Matty, you are killing it at defining that Duke. Finally, knowing the definition of the one they call Duke brings me so much joy and bridges the gap nicely from Ham. So thank you. Now to the questions, which you know I inevitably have. Yes, you always do. Natural. We count on you for that. All right. I want Age of Empires 4 on console so bad, but my question is not, will it come? My question is, when it inevitably does, should it be a current gen only, as in series, consoles, and PS5, adding another reason to make consumers want to buy next-gen consoles as of right now? I'm grasping at straws for reasons to spend money or take that heartache to go out and fight to buy a new one.
Huh.
I'm thinking... It's strange because when I looked at Age of Empires 4, it's not really a looker, but a lot does happen on screen where I could see this being like series only. But it's not on the level of complexity, at least from my experience, that Crusader Kings 3 had, where it's like, yeah, this should be next gen only. So for me, I don't think they're going to do next gen only with this. And with Xbox, you know, especially it's not going to be next gen only if you really want to get technical because of xCloud, because you can stream games to your Xbox One and play them in an almost next gen state if you have the right internet.
You have the Series S as well, so it's like Xbox is very weird with like generation because they did a leap, but it's also like a step. It's very odd. I don't know. I think the more games that come to next gen, the better because that means they can change and they're not held back by old hardware. But I don't really know a lot about Age of Empires, and based on what you were saying, Matt, you said it's not really something that needs that sort of extra push from next generation consoles.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't feel that way.
so
at least.
I'll stand with you there. It's like probably not. It can still be on PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but just from what I saw and played, it wasn't looking like a big tech pusher. Great question though, Calamity. We got one from Encryption with a super chat. What's up, guys? Question for you too. All my friends want to play is Warzone every night and nothing else. Is it time to find new friends? Paul, you're the Warzone guy. I mean, you were at one point. You really liked Warzone. Is it time to find new friends?
Well, see, Encryption, I'm sad. Maybe you're still here. You can write. You're probably still here. You can write in. What kind of games are you looking to play? Because if Warzone is a lot of fun. It's one of the better, I'd say, currently first-person shooter experiences you can get out there. Definitely for a battle royale. But yeah, no, if you're looking for to play new games and they're not budging, don't get stuck. Don't stay there with them. Go play something new.
Yeah.
Go find another group. You don't have to find a new group. You can still play with them.
Yeah.
But
play single player games and call. It's possible. That's what we do.
Depends. I can't play
depends,
Trails.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah, that's true. There's certain games like if you don't want to play Warzone, play Doom. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah.
That type of thing.
But then wait, he said single player games are boring. Huh. Okay. So that's hard. That's hard if your group doesn't want to budge from Warzone. That's a Tyler. You know our friend Tyler?
Yeah, that's a Tyler move. Yeah. But like Tyler's now, our good friend Tyler is like hedging a little bit, and he's standing on the line now, and he's saying like, I'm gonna play Hades, I'm gonna play Elden Ring, but this guy doesn't want to spend money on games. It's the weirdest thing. Like he doesn't want to spend a dime on video games. He's
such an odd person.
Yeah.
Encryption said, I've played Warzone with them plenty, but I'm burnt out, and that's the thing. Yeah, if you're burnt out, honestly, just go on Discord, find a group of people to play games with. Whatever you want to play. You know, it's hard to get your friends to hop off something when they're on it. I suffer from that. My friends were like 2K junkies. I don't know why. They still kind of are to an extent. like 2K basketball, which is just
Yeah.
horrendous in my opinion. I even tried to get into it and it just wasn't the play. So, and I still play games with them and stuff, but I was like, okay, I'll go find a new group to play with, and that's what I did. And I found a group to play Overwatch with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you did, and they're like they're part of like my close circle of friends along with that other group. So yeah, go find a new group and
Yeah.
have some fun.
He says he gets lectured when he doesn't play with them enough. So all I would suggest is fighting games, MMOs. There's other shooters out there. There's a lot of ways to spice it up a little bit. So
He gets cooked. It
consider
sounds
that.
like he gets cooked up.
Yeah, he does. He gets a little cooked up. Might be having a
Yeah.
weird kid moment. That's what we call that in our group here, where you dodge a little bit. And we're like, what's going on, bro? You want to play multiplayer? And you're just doing your thing, but like we're gonna still cook you up a little bit. Sounds like you're suffering from that. So I'm glad to know it's common across friend groups.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Monster Pontes is our next write-in. Hey boys, I don't think I'll be able to catch tonight's show due to weather being intense where I am at and the potential of losing power, but I couldn't not submit a question for my boys. Anyway, let's begin. Marvel Avengers finally announced Spider-Man, and he looks freaking awesome. As a huge, longtime Spider-Man fan, and don't judge me, Marvel Avengers fan, I've been anticipating this for quite some time. Now, do you think this could be the savior of the game? Marvel Avengers isn't horrible in my opinion, but I do feel like when I play, I enjoy what I am doing in the game. But it feels like it's leading to nothing outside of now. We're getting the first raid this November 30th, but Spider-Man is huge and brings people in no matter what. And I feel that this being exclusive might be the downfall of it also. PlayStation fans will love it if they could go back, but the opportunity for Xbox and PC still don't have to look forward to, and the game is already falling in numbers. So why have this exclusively and try to make Spidey go to every console and PC? This is when you will see numbers go back up. Again, just my opinion, but what do you guys think? Does it live, or is Marvel Avengers done after Spider-Man's DLC?
So he's exclusive to PlayStation?
He is.
That's fucking dumb.
I know. And you know what's funny is I guarantee this is like a Sony call. Like they Crystal, by the way, Crystal or Square Enix signed 1,000,001 contracts for this game because they could see the writing on the wall. We saw the Verizon Fios, the 5 gum ads. Like there's still packs of gum you can get with Avengers on them. It's hilarious. They're still marketing this game in this weird manner. They saw the writing on the wall that this game wasn't going to do well, right? And so they signed a deal with Sony. Like, hey, give us money in advance. We'll give you Spider-Man. What sucks is Avengers saw a nice little pop with Game Pass, becoming a top 5 played game on the service. And if they knew that Spider-Man was around the corner, this could have helped them. It is another piece of content in a game that's been dead for a while. I don't know, man. I don't think it's like a huge killing blow because I think the game is already dead personally. But I didn't even know a raid was coming, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So I don't want the game to die. Like I thought there was some potential to improve it, but the reality is when you saw the success of Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man, you see this, people wanted a single-player experience from this because the thing that reviewers complimented for it more than anything was, hey, the story was all right. It wasn't great, but it was all right. Everything surrounding it's not good. And now Crystal Dynamics is helping with Perfect Dark, so they're busy. You're not going to see much more content from this game, I don't think.
Yeah, and we had that discussion, I think it was last week or the week before, where Square Enix just shit in Crystal Dynamics' mouth over over
really
their
throw him under the bus.
game. Yeah, so this game's dead. Sorry. Spider-Man DLC being exclusive is it's like bringing it out to pasture and putting it down for being a sick dog.
Yep.
It's over.
Yep. It's done. All right, we got Sean Mason as our final write-in in this very long episode. Thank you to everyone who's been sitting down with us. Hello, sexy boys. Over the last few weeks of school, various teachers have reported items missing from their classroom. These items range from coffee mugs to classroom decorations. At first, people thought they misplaced their items, but with more and more reportings filing in, it appears that we have a thief amongst the students. Unfortunately, on Wednesday, I fell victim to this thief. My Roxas statue that is proudly displayed on my desk was swiped during second period, my prep. The thief had to go to great lengths to find it as I placed my items away before I leave the room. This is one of my favorite things displayed in my classroom. Now it's personal. A few of us teachers have decided to form a special task force to catch this person. I am determined to get my statue back. So my question, what is an important / meaningful item that has been stolen from you, and did you ever get it back? If so, how? Best, Sean M. I have a fucking story for this one, man.
That's good. I love Sean's tap-ins. They're great.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. this is a dubious lick, right? It's a TikTok trend. Kids are stealing shit from schools, and they call it a devious, dubious lick. I don't know why. Matt, take it away. Let's hear this crazy story.
Right. So I'm in 8th grade, and I finally got the iPad Touch. I thought the mini games on the iPad Touch, or iPod Touch, not iPad, iPod Touch looked amazing, right? I was like, oh man, you could play Guitar Hero on there. You could get these arcade fighters on there. I loved my iPad Touch, or iPod. Why do I keep going iPad? That love only lasted a short couple of days. So I have it all Christmas break because it was a Christmas gift for me. We bring it in to school because I'm an idiot. We change for gym class. I lock my shit down tight. You know, I throw it in there, safe, secure, come back in, feel my pockets. Yo, where's the iPod at? Gone. Gone without a trace. Now, I had this one slimy piece of shit in my class that you kind of look at and you knew. Mm-hmm. And I didn't assume right away, but I knew. But I did the right thing. I went to the authorities, right? I reported to them, hey, my new, I think it was $250, $300 iPod Touch has been stolen. And so, the school starts conducting a search. They line up, by the way, dumbest investigation of all time. If I could have backhanded my teacher at that moment, I would have. This man lines up all the dudes from the guy's locker room and goes, if anyone stole it, please turn it in. And he sat us in a room and just said, I remember saying to my parents the day after, I was like, what do you guys think was going to happen? You really think someone was going to stand up and be like, I took it. Here you go. But again, this one kid who I think is slimy had the look on his face like he was sweating bullets. Like he didn't want to get caught. Like you knew it was him. And everyone in there knew it was him, but there was no substantial evidence, right? There was nothing there. So, I'm carrying on. I'm like, it's gone. And at one point, this kid admits to taking the iPod. He admits it. He's like, I fucking stole it. And I remember I had a couple friends who did not take kindly to that. I was like, okay, I'm going to go tell the teacher. They stuff him in a locker. They stuffed him in a fucking locker. Oh my God. It was horrible. All over an iPad Touch. And of course, he made his bed. He's going to lie in it, right? But I tell the teacher, I'm like, he confessed. So they talk to him. Hey, can you please give it back? This kid just won't do it. He never got suspended. He never got in trouble. No one called his home. So he just took my iPad. I keep calling it iPod. Spit in my face saying he took it. Got thrown in a locker once. And that was really it. So
you never got it back?
Nope, never got it back.
What?
Yeah.
What did the school do?
Nothing. They were just like, please give it back to him. I'm like, okay, dude. Thanks for helping, guys. They just asked. They didn't call us. Right? This is where you bring the parents and you go like, hey, your son's acting a bit unruly. They just didn't do that, though. They wouldn't do it. I don't know why, but they wouldn't do it. But
that's weird.
Yeah, fuck that guy. He tasted locker. Anyway, you got one for us here, an item that's been stolen from you?
I don't think so. I can't remember a time where anyone's stolen something from me. I genuinely can't. Maybe I'm just lucky. Maybe no creepy thieves have stolen any of my items, but I genuinely, the times I've thought that things were stolen, but I lost them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I misplaced my wallet, or I thought I got pickpocketed, or my AirPods case or phone or whatever, and it's just because I misplaced them and there's somewhere.
Right. That's the only time I've been stolen from, and I don't know what I did to this guy. By the way, I was nice. I was a nice person.
I wish I did. I think locker room store thief stories are common because our mutual friend Colin had something happen to him as well with a phone getting stolen in a locker room. I don't know what it is about locker rooms because people are vulnerable. Their pants are down. Yeah. Come out. They're ready to strike.
Yeah, right. I don't get it because I get the idea that you're storing something in a locker, but I didn't make it known I had my iPod. I didn't have it out at gym. It was in my pocket. I didn't have my headphones in. They were in my pocket. It was hidden. So someone. Yeah, I was targeted. That's the thing. I was targeted, and someone tracked me down and was like, "Yep, he's changing right now," and then slid into the locker room at some point and fucking took it. Because that's the thing is, when you didn't change for gym, they made you sit out in the gym room anyway. They didn't let you just go where you wanted. You had to be in the teacher's sight. So this kid also somehow slid out, broke into my locker, took my shit, and then slid back in. Not a problem at all, which is wild. So unfortunately, I did not get my item back, but Sean, I hope you get your Roxas statue back because that's a damn tragedy.
That's sad. Poor Sean, man.
Yeah.
Dude, how do you even like get out with like? How do you put? Can
you put that in your pocket? You know,
no.
How big is it?
Be a backpack, right? Like
that's true. Yeah, it's gotta be a backpack thing.
He didn't say like figure. He said statue. So I'm thinking like big, like figure.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Huh.
It had to be a backpack move. Yeah.
If I walk into class in high school and I see Roxas sitting on the desk, that's a good teacher. Like know you're in for a good class session.
Yeah, you don't steal from that man. You respect him.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this guy. Where's it on his sleeve?
Well, that's all we've got for this episode here of Ham Radio Live. We hope you all enjoyed. Paul, any concluding thoughts here as we pass the 3-hour mark?
I just want to apologize that my internet was acting up like halfway through. I had it like on the side, so I saw like my camera was freezing and I could see the red bar popping up and our voices were overlapping. I don't know why that happened. It's not common, so don't expect it again. But I apologize. But I also want to thank everybody for the support. Even like the super chats or the really nice comments, they like help a lot. And people saying that they enjoy the format, it really helps sort of like validate our choices to do this format, and really helps. Every positive comment is 10 times more powerful than a negative comment. Yeah. Like a positive comment just shines and negative comments just go away. So it's really appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pretty negative start for us. If we're totally transparent, there were a lot of people like really complaining big time. And it was one of those things where we kind of had to stay the course. And so we're just very thankful that people have stuck with us. This episode will, again, be interesting to see because there is the tech issues, which not even on you, by the way. Like yours is fine because whenever you clipped out, you could make out what you said. It's just unfortunate it happened. But we did have some issues on the tech side with some of our call-ins where I understand if people had some issues, but that's kind of the nature of doing a live show. It can't be perfect. It just can't be.
And I mean, those are like, and the call-in was fine. It was a great question. I loved. He was awesome, and I think those are rare. Like that. It's gonna happen every now and then. For the most part, we barely have like those tech issues.
Yeah. We had one last super chat from Elv1. 4 a.m. here, never watching live again. Great show. Hey, yeah, if it's 4 a.m. for you, that's fine. That's fine. Like, yeah, you go to bed. You can watch the archive version. But for the rest of you, thank you so much for super chatting, for supporting what we're doing here, for just watching, listening, all that stuff. We appreciate you supporting the new initiative. And, of course, we'll see you all next week for episode 9 of Ham Radio Live, where I'm sure if Monday's news proves to be true, we will have a lot to talk about. So be sure to tune in. We'll see all of you right then and there. Take good care of yourselves. Peace out.
See you guys.